Bow to the lab coat, kneel to the screen. If the light feels warm, does the truth seem mean? Welcome to the cult of comfort and pride, where questions get you canceled and sheep get a guide. Science is sacred as long as it's sold, wrapped in a logo and funded in gold. They wear their masks like medals, their degrees like chains. Never looked at the stars, but they chant the same names. NASA said it, I believe it, that's that. Even when the rocket clips fade to black, you show them maps older than Christ and they'll laugh in your face. Say Google it twice. Truth don't matter when ego's involved. This ain't curiosity, this is a cult. It's a comfort cult. No facts, just faith. Don't think, don't dig, don't dare escape. It's a comfort cult, built on control, where truth is heresy and doubt is a troll. Obey, believe, repeat the defaults. Welcome to the comfort cult. Welcome to the comfort cult. Yeah. Look, they'll fight to defend what they never prove. Quote a textbook like scripture, you never move. They let us say settle when it's barely begun. Then mock you for asking why water don't run. Flat earth, you're insane, hollow earth too much. But a spinning ball with ocean stuck, that's clutch. They kneel to the gods, science, progress, tech, worshiping data they never did check. It's not about truth, it's about tribe. They just wanna belong, they just wanna subscribe. So go ahead, laugh, deflect and insult. But deep down, you know you're in a cult. It's easier to mock than it is to see. It's safer to sleep than it is to be free. Comfort is a cage made of Wi-Fi and pride, and most would rather die than look outside. It's a comfort cult. Stay in your lane, don't question the shape, the rules, or the game. It's a comfort cult. Blindfold sold out, but one day that dome's gonna crack with a shout when truth floods in. The towers tilt. Will you leave or defend the cult?
Hey, what's up? Hello. This is Vikka Draziv. How are you guys doing? We are finally back on Heliopsychosis. Alrighty, we've been missing for a couple of weeks. Just been too busy, too many things to do, starting of the summer. Yep. And it was required to, some of my people, my friends, know that sometime I have to go on some kind of journeys, so that was also one of the reasons. So that was awesome to have those couple of weeks for that. And also the people who know from a couple of years that been following us on Heliopsychosis know that our timetable of the summer is our timetable. So some people might be a little confused why is the show a few hours later. So that's our summer timetable, and it's great. We're trying to adapt, right? As you all know, it's much more busy schedule during the summer, especially for me. So, yep, finally we are here. That doesn't mean that if we are not doing tonight's show about Mr. Jaren and their trip to Antarctica, we still have an episode left out of that, so make sure you are there. Maybe next week we're going to try to do that. And I didn't want it to dedicate a beautiful day like Father's Day and solstice tonight to these clowns, right? So that's why we have a special guest tonight, and we are glad to have her tonight with us to have a conversation, an awesome research, awesome understanding about our RAM, our intelligent design, and also especially the profession she was into. So absolutely. So get your coffee, tea, split wine, whatever makes you comfortable, and let's jump into tonight's guest. But before we do that, let's say hello to my co-host and brother Paulino, which has been also been missing from TikTok too.
Hey, how you doing?
Paulino, what's up, man?
Missing. It feels like we're missing when you're gone for a couple of weeks, when you're on every day, and then you cut down and you cut down. We just got stuff going on, and we're coming back stronger like we always do, right? It's not, we're always working on something, even when you're not here. You know that, Vikka.
Oh yeah. So how have you been? How's TikTok going?
Oh, it's going good. I mean, people miss us. When we jumped on last week, we had a whole bunch of people come on. Happy that we were back last week. We had an interview last week with somebody, and it went really well. Topics went all over the place, and flat Earth, biblical stuff, society. So we kind of went all over the place with our guests. It was great though. But you were getting that homestead together, trying to catch up to you, Vikka.
Nice.
But otherwise, yeah, we're coming back stronger. Like, we have a whole bunch of overlays that we're going to work on anyway. So like we have a whole new look. So when we come back, it's going to be totally different, and we'll be streaming probably on more things. We had 4 or 5 that we used to do, but now we'll probably be up to close to 10 live at once.
Nice, awesome. Yeah, you're getting some interesting guests. That's awesome, bro. So, oh yeah. So do you have right now prepared a couple of times a week, or?
Well, we're trying to get that sorted out with the overlays being done and all that type of stuff, and then because we're working on it with our backup laptop is what we're going to be working off of until we get the other one shipped back to us. But we should be able to do everything. Chelsea's got to work on the audio even tonight. She's going to mess around with it and get the audio all correct. And most of you guys wouldn't even know the difference. It'll only be Chelsea and I. But yeah, once we get back up and running, it's good though, because homesteading is not easy, man. Especially when you start from scratch, you got a lot of stuff to do. So this is freeing us up to do other things. And I'm meeting with different people when it comes to the music part, because we're starting that avenue as well. We got so much going on. So it's amazing though that we're blessed to be able to do all this stuff.
Oh yeah, absolutely, brother. It's awesome to have and see the sun every day, right? Like above you, and from rise to set. If you are, no, it's not the same living in a concrete jungle, and for sure, and growing your things makes you so much independent that you can even think of, right? And especially things you grow is food for the soul. So absolutely. So do check out people in the chat, Paulino and Chelsea B. Michael on TikTok, and also the flatouttruth.com. Absolutely, brother. And yes, and let's get our special guest for tonight on the panel, Dawn Dussault. How are you, Dawn? It's a pleasure to have you here tonight on Heliopsychosis. How are you doing?
Hello, everyone. I'm good. How are you, Vikka?
And awesome, Paulino? Awesome. It's great to see you here.
Oh, yeah. We're doing great.
Oh, yeah. So, Dawn, I think we remember, I think Mark Sargent was one of the first person I remember seeing her on. And she has an awesome story about what was her profession and what made her get into the truth, especially about flat Earth. Yeah, Dawn, tell us if you want to share something. How did your journey start? Before we get into that technical stuff, right?
Okay.
What do you want to share with us with your journey? Yeah.
I was like, next up, the sun. No, I'm just kidding. And yeah, it's a good day to have this too, because it's the summer solstice. But before we get into that, so I served 2001 until 2016. I was an infantry officer in the Canadian Armed Forces, and I was the first in the history of my regiment. And it wasn't when they were accepting DEIs or any of that stuff. You absolutely had to be on your game in order to pass. And if anything, it was actually harder at that time. And so, but a great career, obviously, with a lot of life lessons. And there were definitely really hard times as well in that. But what doesn't kill you literally makes you stronger. And so I did well. So and I think it was because I had left my own home when I was 16 years old, and I was working, I was going to school, I was doing all that on my own before I even got my scholarship to go to RMC. I actually was awarded a scholarship because, again, I was into the books. I really wanted to get out of my situation in life. I came from poverty, you know what I mean? And so were my surroundings. And so for me to get out of that, I knew what I had to do. And I went that route, and it turns out that like I won top athletic awards, top academic awards. I always had like leadership positions, even amongst like my peers and things like that. And so it just became like a thing. I was really good at my job, and during my educational experience as well. I even did an exchange at West Point, and through that, making connections there, learning a lot about like the US, like how they teach their history and things like that, with the differences between Canadian and American history, how it's taught. And through my travels as well, I did get to learn a lot, like on the ground, about just like the harsh realities of the world in comparison to Canada and the US, like first world countries. Because of my work with patrols, being embedded into certain communities and groups in multiple different capacities, including with Discovery Channel, even after my military career. But I did deploy, and I did a lot of training with the U.S. as well. I was asked to go into the Special Forces. I still had to apply and get accepted and go through all the training. But again, even that, and so even through that, I had access to information, top secret government clearance, and I still do. And through that, it was almost like kind of like at the end of my career. Like I think this was like the end of 2015. I had gone on YouTube because it was popular at the time, and I was like looking at like videos of workouts and things like that. Literally nothing at all related to controversial conspiracy theory type topics. It was literally like wellness competitions, looking at that and all of that stuff. And then a 9/11. Like I forget what it was. It was either Loose Change or one of those documentaries. I ended up seeing that, and it just kind of like destroyed my ideologies, like my perspective of the world, and everything I had gone to up to that point, like the entirety of the Afghanistan war, including up until we finished our combat missions in 2014. I was still in, and I was just like, what the hell, you know what I mean? Like it painted a completely different picture, and so because like I had experience, like I had high level positions, I did a lot of coordination. The stuff that I had to do, it was regarding like combat estimates. It was looking at things in great detail from so many different perspectives, including weather, all of these things. When I'm looking at like assessing multiple different events and things like that. And so when I realized that I was lied to about 9/11, I kind of took that and translated that to like, well, what else have I been lied to about? And so I went on looking at the JFK assassinations. I was looking at the Challenger event, like all of these things, and then the moon landings as well. And and then so post military, so I got out and I incorporated, and I was doing work immediately with people that were ex-special forces, like even people that were commanding officers, people that worked like really high up in NATO or the UN and things like that. They were hiring me when I got out because my resume was so good. And I was doing work with them, training people within Global Affairs Canada, DART, our disaster systems research teams, SART. I was doing so much work, higher level stuff, using a lot of real estate in Ottawa, including airports, hospitals, prisons, bases and things like that. And through that work, I was hiring people that were, 25 plus years homicide detectives, or people that were former special forces, or people still serving like Ottawa Police Services, like our local police, higher level police, you name it, to help me train people that were responding to natural and man-made disasters internationally. That was literally my first contract, was training people to respond to natural and man-made disasters before anyone hits the ground. And so even when I was in the special forces, I had done training where we were the ones responding first on the ground based off of our responsibilities and things like that, and then doing that work. And then so that translated into me doing that work in assisting Global Affairs, who would be the ones doing the link up with us first, as well as the other things that we'd be doing separate with Global Affairs Canada, which is like the equivalent to like your Homeland Security types in the US, not yours because you're in Spain. And Paulino, I don't know where you are, but anyways, I'm all over the place already. And so when I started looking at different events and how to respond, even in natural events, I was like, that kind of like looks like that might be man-made. And so when I was doing this work, I was trying to share this information with people like the directors of global affairs. I was trying to send this to people that were like the business owners, right, of like these security companies I was working with, private industry, that were working with government. And they didn't want to do anything of it. Like they just didn't want to hear any of it. And then COVID hit. So I was like, okay, whatever. I'm not going to push this stuff. I'll still do all of this training. I was doing executive protection as well for even like our prime minister, the head of the Toronto Raptors, the heads of the Bank of Canada who go to Davos. Like, again, I was in all of that. But again, as the person that was providing security and doing all the threat assessments, the risk impacts for the international travel, all that stuff. And so I was literally in this and trying to be on the inside, sharing information that they just didn't want to hear, right? And that was really frustrating because I'm like, how can you respond to natural and man-made events just like we responded to 9/11, et cetera, got us into a war, and it was bullshit, right? And it's like they don't want to hear that, right? Especially people that are veterans, because they're like, well, then what was Afghanistan about? Like, was it and I'm like, I buried people overseas and at home, like even suicide, even like in the last couple of weeks because of trauma that incurred and stuff like that. So it's like but it's still important to talk about it so that we don't put ourselves in wars needlessly, like what's going on in Iran, based on, just profiting the military's pharmaceutical industrial tech complex. And so as a Christian and as someone who, even in my military career, would call things out, if, I would like not anyway, like we were trained never to respond to like unlawful orders, right? And so even in my military career, I'm all over the place, but we learn about the rules of engagement, very important. Law of armed conflict, I had to take that course. Anyone deploying in any type of a leadership position, you have to get these qualifications so that again, how to respond, right? You know what's a crime, what's a war crime, what's a crime against humanity, all of these things. And so I'm seeing people again doing things like in what they're calling war scenarios even now, and I'm like, that is not at all taught in the rules of engagement or any of the law of armed conflict courses I've taken in Canada. And and so then part of like this work, right, these people go back in the government, right, in an official capacity. So that happens. So one of the guys I was working with, I can't say what company, but again, it was like they do really high level stuff internationally. And then he's like, and I was talking to him daily, like especially through COVID and Ukraine, Russia stuff, because I wasn't vaccinated. But again, I had a reason not to be. Like I was sharing like the lab leak. I was sharing the gain of function stuff. I was sharing the Wuhan games that happened in October of 2019, where there was even like aircrafts that were they had to stay in position, because there were people that were sick. And then people reporting that they were sick that were in the part of these games in their countries, even in Europe, that were talking about, again, that this is possibly what they're calling COVID, 2020 period, event 201, all that stuff. I'm trying to share this information. They're kind of listening to it. And I'm like, and I know people that were also going to Ukraine to do like medevac missions and other things, including a guy that's a veteran that went over thinking that, again, he was like protecting and defending innocent people, you know what I mean? And that this was like all Russia, et cetera, to blame, not even people within their own government and NATO, and that all came out afterwards. But even Joseph Hildebrand, he died overseas, like, and again, a noble cause, but and because he wasn't there in an official capacity, right, it was really hard to get him home and stuff like that. And so this is why I was saying, like, this information, like, you guys really need to listen to this information, and they were refusing to. And then he was like, I need to go dark, because and we were talking again, like for years at this time, this high level guy, and he's like, I'm going to be working in the Space Force or with the Space Force, whatever, with the US. And I was just like, oh my God. And I'm like, everything else I'm talking about now, I already knew that the Earth was flat and that the moon landings were fake by this point for years. And so I was so frustrated because I didn't say this to him, because I'm like, you guys don't even want to hear about 9/11. That is like such low level stuff, right? That's a litmus test, right? And I'm like, and if you're going to do it, I'm like, you're representing Canada. And I'm like, and you're so checked out, and I really like you and stuff like that. And so all I did was I sent him like a video of a funny thing happened on the way to the moon. I'm like, hear me out. I'm like, you've known me for so many years, including when I was in the special forces and stuff like that. And then after we worked for many years, I'm like, I thought that he would consider that, but yeah. And so I've tried to get this information out, because it's really important. And I even know a guy that's a friggin' astronaut that I went to RMC with, right? We were on the Sandhurst team together, all of this stuff. We were friends. When I was overseas, he was, he was working like as well as part of like the air asset, like department or whatever you want to call it of what we were doing. And even that, like, even with our relationship that we had, I tried to share information with him like 4 or 5 years ago now, maybe 6. But again, it didn't reach him. before before the Canadian Space Agency took over his accounts. So like I was trying to reach out. I'm like we got. I was just about to say his name. Oh my god! I'm like, we got to talk. I'm like, look, I come in peace, blah blah blah. And like I was trying to share with him on my scientific research that I have so many. I have literally over 1,000 pages of notes on the Earth and stuff like that. And it's like scientific. And so I was trying to share that with him. I'm like, because he's a literal genius. So maybe if I share this with him and he looks at it, he's going to understand it, and then, you know what I mean? Like, and then he'll know, and then he won't get put into these missions where he might die and stuff like that. You know, because you never know, right? Because the Challenger event, and then even before that, with I think it was Gus Grisham or whatever his name was, that did end up dying because he was calling out the fact that they would not be able to go to the moon with the capabilities and technologies that they had. And people were again talking about never being able to land on the moon because of it being a plasma orb. And but yeah, and so it was during COVID where I was really like, you know what, and I was already doxxed and being surveyed because of COVID, and so were people within my network, like verifiable, like Helen Groos, for example, through our network with higher level stuff, and yeah, and so I'm going to keep on it, but like the people that I've tried to reach about this information that I've worked with, like even beyond military, they have a vested interest in not having any, like not at all wanting to touch this, because they're making a lot of money with these contracts, especially, you know, companies that I've even called out that are, you know, cybersecurity companies, intelligence companies working with the government, like that even have our leaders, former prime ministers, part of this organization that is absolutely psyopsing people, you know, and, you know, and a former, like, you know, commander of CANSOFCOM, again, part of these cybersecurity networks that are operating out of Tel Aviv, Jersey City, and Toronto. Yeah. And anyways, that was a
Oh
huge
yeah,
ramble.
it's crazy. Damn, it's like, yeah, you've been everywhere and having these kind of experiences and seeing it through from the inside, right? What's the problem, right? As I mention you too, right? There are so many other people also with similar profession like you, and also like very technical and engineering and pilots and radar navigations, and there are so many other people also.
Yeah.
They want the people to wake up, right, and see the truth, because who else is gonna, right, like no one
100%.
is just gonna believe anybody who is just like a conspiracy theory, right? Having that kind of background and experience and professions, right, really makes that testimony out there, right, for the people to realize. Because as you mentioned, like there are PTSD problems, right, and apart from, right, and many other things apart from all that violence that is not required, right? So should be for a reason. So one more question for you, like then you, like few years already you've been a flat earther. What really got you, what part, because I know there are could be many various reasons which you said, this is it, right? What is your favorite one, two, whatever, right, that made you believe like that, that's it, I don't need anything more? And
That's a
go
good
ahead.
question. I would say because I had already not trusted, like even like scientific, even textbooks, because my brother, who is an actual genius, he corrected a science book when I was young. And so this is when he was a teenager. He was doing like advanced math courses and things like that. He had to travel like a couple of hours away from where we lived, even to get like someone that was able to teach him, even when he was a teenager. It was crazy. And so because of that, like it kind of like that in itself, like was like, okay, wow. So even like science, like even facts can be wrong that we're reading, right? And so I would say that like probably like 2019, 2020, I was already disillusioned and knew that like we were lied to about things like 9/11, the moon landings, the JFK assassination, all of these things. And then this was like I was sharing information with people, and in my work as well, I'm also like an informant or an asset for certain people, and anyways, and so through that network, people will share information with me and they won't say anything about it. right? And I like that approach because it means that I can come at this from an unbiased lens. Like no one's giving me their opinion on something; they're leaving it up to me to make my own opinions. And so it was randomly this guy who's like actually in the special forces, so I can't say his name or anything like that, but he sent me a link a number of years ago. And because I trusted him and because I had worked with him in the past on so many different things, I opened the link and I didn't care what the title was. It was like the Irwinon, I think, video, like a really long one. It was and so
the lost history of flat Earth. Yeah.
Yes, the lost history of flat Earth, and so it took me I started it, right, and I had an open mind. I didn't want to dismiss anything, because that's not how I look at things, right? Like I don't want to have a bias, and so I was going through it, and there was things that made sense to me, right? The things that were being that were being said, like it was clicking, and then there was something regarding like Eric Dubé. It's something that he had said. It might have been in that video, or because like during that same period, that week period, like I also found Eric Dubé's Lost History of Flat Earth, or whatever it was. I forget what the title is, and that was like the 6-hour long one. And so like both of those, I was going through, and so it was during that time where I think it was Eric that said that based on the fact that the sun does the east to west rotation on a daily and annual basis, right? Like that, therefore, like the model that we were given, like makes no sense. And I was just like, oh my God. And then they were saying like 93 million miles away from, these are all things I didn't know the details of, like going through school. It wasn't taught, right? Like 93 million miles away. I mean, it may have been, but really like not a lot, right? It's only once you get into, like post secondary or after high school, that when you start getting into like more into astronomy courses and things like that, that I guess you would get this like in more detail. But the 93 million miles made no sense to me at all. Like looking at like even like the inverse square law and things like that, even with that and lasers and lights and like the distance, like and then all of that stuff. And then the fact that they would say that they were saying that the and it was just like the travel path of the sun, right? That the fact that like I do see that it travels from east to west, like approximately 15 degrees per hour average through the zodiac signs. Like to me, like that makes sense. And so if you you cannot be a globe earther, sorry, you can't be a flat earther, the opposite of that. If you believe that the sun, for example, is is 93 million miles away, and we're orbiting around it as another luminary. We're completely independent of the luminaries of the cosmos, or like the luminaries in the ether.
Nice.
This Earth is like the flat plane of existence, like the habitable region, and the luminaries are independent of that, but do impact it.
Yeah, you're exactly right. I think it's interesting. Like in school, they don't teach you, like they'll tell you one part, but then they'll tell you the part that would challenge that. Like if we're going around, like even the moon coming around us, it has to speed up. It would have to speed up to keep up in the circular orbit around the Earth while we're keeping up with the sun. It doesn't really, because we're going everywhere in all these directions and speeds. They don't tell you, oh, well, it speeds up to catch up.
Mm-hmm.
It speeds up to catch up. That's the only way it would work. And we know it doesn't do that. There's no way.
And the more and the more people can look into the sun and from the frame of reference of like the greats of the past, like Eudoxus and Hipparchus and Tycho Brahe and Ibn al-Satir and Tusi, like these people mapped it all out. And if you even look, I've shared this multiple times, but there's multiple there's diagrams for a frame of reference of exactly what people from like the past thought, from multiple different advanced civilizations and cultures, where this is an enclosed system, right? Like even with the Antikythera mechanism and these armillaries that we see all over the world, right? Where we have it does look like a globe, but again, that's the container, right? If you want to think of it as a snow globe. And then you have the constellations and the luminaries again that are making that containment with it, and also the field lines, like the magnetic field lines from the center, but that create the toroidal and poloidal fields like that contain this cosmos. But within that, the luminaries travel within. The Earth was always at the center in these models, right? And then the luminaries were traveling above, right, within the heavens, right? And so,
oh yeah, this is the thing. Adding to what you're saying, That's the reason many of the globetrotters also they say no. The Greeks were saying that the Earth was a sphere. These people don't do their research properly, right?
Exactly.
The Greeks were saying the universe is a sphere, right? Not the Earth,
Yes.
right? They always represented the Earth parallel, right? And the rings and all the so-called looks like a solar system is the luminaries that orbit around, right? Meaning geocentric, stationary, flat, and you count that firmament as a circle, as a closed, right?
Exactly. Yeah. So even with like the sun, if and if you don't mind, like we can get into it, but like because it's the summer solstice, the sun is at its highest point in the sky where we have the longest days and shortest nights in the northern hemisphere. And I have a sine wave that I mapped out, but the sine wave or the analemma that the sun and moon make on their independent circular ring paths above us, it shows that so it's at the top point. So that's the furthest the sun travels. North latitude of the equatorial ring is 23.5 degrees, whereas you have it where like Saturn, Jupiter, and even the moon, when it's on its lunar maximum limits, which we're at right now, it happened in 2024-25, where the moon is at 28.5 degrees north and south latitude on its ring path, again within the enclosed system. The sun today, again this morning at my time, it reached that point, right, the highest point in the sky before the fall, which and it does appear that the sun does kind of travel or circuit around the Tropic of Cancer for like 2-3 days or whatever. So I think that this also is why St. John the Baptist usually is on like the 24th of June, I believe it is. But that's like considered to be like where the sun falls from like its highest point. And so we have it where the sun like is going today. It moved from Gemini into Cancer. And and so even with that, with the sun, so it travels approximately 15 degrees on average per hour to give us that 24-hour clock. And traveling approximately, like it takes 2 hours to travel through the zodiac belt. But the zodiac belt, or the Mazzaroth, whatever people want to call it, this actually does also have its own daily rotational speed. And then the great year, etc., where it resets itself. But the zodiac actually moves faster than the sun, right? So the zodiac on its circular path for it to do the 360-degree circular rotation, it actually takes 23 hours and 56 minutes. And the sun takes 24 hours to do its 360-degree path. However, because of the lag, because it's slower than the zodiac, like that's why we have that extra time. So that's why we have 365.24 days in a year. Is because again the sun because the zodiac sign does travel a little faster on a daily path rotation, and that's why when people are saying that the sun appears to like move eastward, no, it's the zodiac, right, in relation to the sun on its travel path, because it's faster. Again, that's why it looks like, you know, that like the sun is traveling like 1 degree through the zodiac sign backwards. But I hope that makes sense. And the moon travels slower than the sun, right? So 24 hours and 50 minutes for its rotation, because it is again moving slower than the sun. And so I want to keep on the sun first, and you guys can cut
Oh yeah, for sure. This is the thing, right? Even like today, it was almost around 20,000 people at the Stonehenge looking for the sunrise. Why? You think it's the first time that the people are doing that? This is happening for thousands of years,
yes,
right? Or hundreds of years.
solar dials, the Jantar Mantar. I've shared videos on that, and these are all like solar dials. And I gave you a diagram, but it shows like the moon rise and moon sets through like the solstice periods, and then it also gives the sunrise and sunset, and how it's like a longer path through those stones like you're talking about, like Stonehenge. And so when you map out, you've got the infinity symbol and the sun, the 432 hertz. Again, that's like the resonant frequencies of the sun, which also, again, is what controls the frequencies and vibrations of the other luminaries, right? So this is a divine musical clock, and the sounds and the interaction of the luminaries as they travel around the sun is what can actually create sound, when you octave it up or whatever you want to call it, and you can actually hear it. So I did provide I could share a video, but maybe not today. But you can actually hear what sound they make when you scale them up. And
yeah, the cymatics, exactly like the cymatics too,
yes,
right?
Yes.
And we see it in the nature too, right? The sacred geometry, as you mentioned, the resonance frequency. These are all different frequencies being played. A cosmic song or a cosmic dance, if you want to call it, right?
Yes.
Of the luminaries, right? Electric and sounds and magnetism creating this reality, right? Absolutely.
And and so with the sun, so the the sacred geometric path, or the path that it takes, it creates that sine wave when you look at it on a daily and annual basis. And again, which dictates the signs and the seasons. It's even biblical. And so I just wanted to make sure that I have everything regarding the sun that I can possibly talk about without confusing people before we get into the other luminaries, because Tycho Brahe and others as well, but he and this is where I think people can not explain this, but I don't hear a lot of people talking about the Tycho Brahe model, where you have it where there's independent ring paths that are taken, or ring paths where you have the moon that is on its own independent ring path, and it goes from its minimum and maximums throughout an 18.6 year cycle, or a 19-year cycle, what we call the metonic cycles, or the Saros cycles. This is when, again, the moon and sun link up again within their cycles, and then we have the same eclipse seasons and full moon and new moon periods, etc. That's reset through these periods. And so this happens they have it mapped out where it's every 19 years or 235 months, which is on the Antikythera mechanism. They actually measure that. And then the metonic cycle as well. But so there's different variations or calculations.
Yeah, absolutely. It's 19 year and 18 year, right? Saros and the metonic.
Yes. Yeah. 18.6.
So that's just one of the cycles, apart from the sun cycle, the moon cycle, right? All the luminaries. You have this 19-year cycle, 18-year cycle. It's crazy how precise the Antikythera mechanism is, right? And being made at least 1,000 years ago. Doing that's like a mechanical clock sky, if you want to call it, in analog, in a physical machine, right? What else do we really need?
Yeah. So I'll just read, this is just like one of the first paragraphs of the notes I took. But so the Antikythera mechanism physically encodes the resonant ratios of the clock. The 2C couple provides the geometric principle that converts uniform circular motion into the observed variable speeds and retrograde loops. Resonant constants, the golden ratio via Venus, the 8:13 ratio, the pi approximation via Mercury, clean harmonics via Jupiter and Saturn. And we're talking about even the connection with the 12:1 ratio, the 29.5 year that it takes Saturn to, complete its 360-degree circle around the sun within the container, creating the greater circle. And actually its boundaries actually are reach further than the sun. So Saturn, Jupiter, and the moon, depending on what phase it's in, will go beyond 23.4 degrees north and south latitude on their ring paths. The moon on its own independent one, but field locked, the 5 wandering stars traveling around the Earth on their circular rotations, again as it moves through the tropics and then the equator. I hope this is making sense to people. I don't know.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and so even with the moon, we are at our lunar, almost at our lunar maximum. I think it was last year that we got in there. That means that the moon is 28.5 degrees north south latitude of the equatorial ring as a reference frame from Earth, and it goes through these phases, right? And so so it's hard to explain, but when it's on its maximum limit, it looks like the drift, or coming closer to the equator. it's very insignificant. Like the average is like 0.1, 0.15 degrees per year. Like when we're looking at 1 degree equaling 69 miles, like land miles, or 111 Earth kilometers. And so on that path, and then when it gets closer and closer to the equatorial ring, when you start getting to the lunar minor or a minimum limit, the 18.5 degree point north or south of the equatorial ring, that's a 0 degree. That's where that like the drift or whatever, it happens at a very accelerated rate, right? So you go from like a 0.1, 0.5, 0.3 on average drift to like 1 degree shift or drift, even in like a 3-month period, right? So like in a 1.3 year period during like the lunar minimum limits as it's traveling the lunar, and that will be in like 9.3 years from now, then that's where it could be like a difference of like 5.6 degrees, right? Where like the average would be like 0.54. So it's very significant of like this drift. And this also impacts the seasons, right? Like how far away the moon is away from the sun on its circular ring path does also influence, right? So the further it is away, like there is like if there's more influence on the seasons, especially for the heat, right? Because it doesn't have that, we don't have that cooling effect of the moon as we do when it's closer. And so what else about the moon? Also, even that being like some kind of a like using plasma physics, some kind of a plasma or orb or luminary, centripetal forces, but that also has like a reflective sheath, like a mirrored sheath, that which is why like possibly again we could see like it looks like an X-ray, but of the Earth again imprinted on the moon, right? But this not being a physical rock or object, right? This being like a mirror effect based on again plasma physics, cold fusion plasma physics again, and this sheath and the containment because of again like confined like magnetic fields, and influences again obviously the atmospheric pressure. So does the moon, so does the sun, and then with the tides as well. Like the movement is based on like how close these luminaries are to us.
For sure. This is the thing, right? Before we continue into that, the moon, like even the Antikythera mechanism, apart from it doing all what it does, is also a selenograph. What it means that it measures everything what the moon does, including the phases, the eclipses, and everything, right? So it in itself is like a 2 gadgets, right? Apart from being a cosmograph that is graphing the cosmos, including all the luminaries, and it's a selenograph, right? Everything what the moon is doing, that's amazing, right? To have that also in this machine, right? And other thing I want you to mention about the importance of Venus, right? How it's the pi doing that golden ratio, and why it was so important for many cultures, and why especially the Hopis and all these people were going behind the Venus cycle, because was supposed to be that golden ratio, right? Go ahead.
Yes. I'm just going to get, because I want to make sure that I get this. Okay, so Venus completes 1 circuit around the moving sun in approximately 225 days. So 1 circuit meaning 360 degrees around. So so it reaches this maximum when the greatest elongation east or west of the sun occurs roughly 584 days. That's not really important. It's resonant ratio and solar circuits to 13 Venus circuits. This is a Fibonacci's pair, like in order, right? So you produces a perfect 5-petaled pentagram, or the rose of Venus, over 8 years. So what it means is like for every 8 years that the sun circles around the Earth, that means that Venus, again, it's field locked to the sun. It's rotating around the sun 13 times, right? And it does a 360 degree circuit around the sun every 88 days. And so when you map that out, and I did give diagrams of this, but that shows the sacred geometric patterns that Mercury, Venus, Mars, Jupiter, and Saturn create. But it does produce, again, that perfect 5-petaled pentagram, the rose of Venus. And then the golden ratio, so 13 divided by 8, because of the ratio, it's the golden ratio, so 1.618 approximation. And so it's literally within the design. And and Venus is again it's on the second ring path closest to the sun, Mercury being the closest. And
Oh yeah, absolutely. And Venus also represents love in a way, right?
Yes.
So imagine that, like having that connection with the pi and the Fibonacci sequence and the golden ratio, right? So absolutely.
Just 1 second here. Yeah, Venus. Yeah, Venus rules over. It's connected to love, the color green, and like green being like in the middle of like the visible and non-visible light spectrum, and it rules over Libra and Taurus, which is interesting to me as well, because like even the luminaries, they like the 7 wandering stars, they actually rule over or rule over they rule over the 12 zodiac signs. I know that there's also people that count Ophiuchus in that, because like the sun and moon do travel again, and the ecliptic does touch Ophiuchus as well. And but yeah, like we're looking at averages. So even with the 360-degree circle, this is what makes our time and our distance, right? So like the 60 minutes, 60 seconds, etc. Like this is all based on like this math. And so with Venus as well, yeah. So like even with Taurus and Libra, these are the seasons. If you're closer to the equatorial ring, where again like life thrives more. Like that's kind of like the Fertile Crescent area, because an equal amount of day and night fairly consistently. So again, like an optimal place to live. And then obviously the further north and south you go from that band, like you're like the temperatures of the climate is more extreme, whether it be cold or otherwise. And yeah, so these are the seasons where we plant seeds in Taurus, and then in Libra is where we harvest.
Yep, absolutely. Yeah, it's so much, the luminaries are so much interconnected with us, right? That's why we say, right, the angels, right, the angles, right, those vibrations from these luminaries, their cycles, even we feel it, right? Our whole life, it's like our like cycles within cycles, smaller cycles into bigger cycles, right? The numbers, the colors, the sound,
Yes.
the heavens, the rainbows, right? Everything is there. I think that's the stamp of the divine right there.
It absolutely is. The more I look into like the luminaries, the cosmos, like all of that stuff, the closer I find that I come to like God. I don't know if that even makes sense, or the creator. Like it's just so complex and such an intelligently designed creation that like I'm like inspired like every single day by just how incredible this is, right? And
oh yeah, so how long have you been doing your in-depth research and analysis and all these things that you have gathered up, I know that you have so much to share that we won't be able to do it even in one podcast, but yeah, how long you're trying to gather it and all this research and trying to connect the dot, like your whole
from I would say for the last, especially because of like where I was living, that's why I had to move as well. There was a lot going on, and I was absolutely not able to even hear my own self think. It was just crazy. And so when I moved, like I moved to rural Canada, and it was specifically because there was just so much that I was sharing. I was doing videos still and stuff like that, but it was only until like I would say like 2023 that I really was able to have the quiet and the concentration in nature. Perfect, right? Where I was able to like get into my own notes, right? Because there was a lot of stuff out there, and I had been reading a lot of other people's books, like again the greats of the past, like Eudoxus and Hipparchus, and all of these, Tycho Brahe, etc. But I wasn't seeing any good like literature where it was compiling everything I wanted to again in like one book that made sense, right? With all of these things, and then even with like the understanding of throughout history when we had the appropriate models and explanations, and how there was a period after that where people misinterpreted the greats' work and then put people off on a wrong tangent incorrectly, and then how that was corrected and rectified again, and it goes throughout history as well. And so like for people to say that that this is like I don't know solved and that it's a globe. Like I can't even believe people say that, and how people like think that flat Earth is some kind of like a new conspiracy when literally this has been talked about and debated, and even within the Jesuits. I'm going on all these tangents, but they literally were also people within the Christian, I guess, organization throughout Europe. They were having arguments with people in academia, and these people that were again pushing like the scientific de-evolution. And they were saying like the models and the science that you're interpreting goes completely against the Bible, and that was their thing too, right? They were saying like what you're applying for like your interpretation of the world, of the Earth, and the stars, like it's completely anti-biblical, right? And so I don't know if people know that, but there's like 140 to like 200 passages in the Christian Bible that are absolutely referenced to like what this is, right? And so, but anyway.
Oh yeah, Paulino can add to that about the Bible for sure.
Oh, perfect. Okay, so so I guess within this community, people can see the links.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Oh, yeah.
The sun, moon, and stars, right? I teach a biblical calendar, and it runs off sun and moon and stars. The cycle, like even Enoch talks about it. All the scriptures align with the narrative of the sun, moon, and stars being in a certain circuit, a certain cycle, repeatable.
Yep.
All the passages from like Leviticus 23, all the feast days, everything lines up from way back then to right now. Chelsea and I follow it. We teach it. There's people that do it. There's a guy in Spain that I know that actually does it.
Amazing.
He's been doing it for 20 years and it's never been off. Like, so it's like everything's aligned. It's in the scriptures, but people want to ignore it. They want to go to the Gregorian. And
Yes.
It always changes, and they skip times, 11 days here, 6 months there. They have to keep resetting it because they can't make it perfect like the way it really is.
Yeah. Yeah. And if they just looked at the Antikythera mechanism that Vikka has like in his hand, then easy. It's solved. It's a divine musical clock.
Yeah, it's all about commerce, though, right? I mean, that's really it is, and it gets you away from God. Once you find out that it's perfect and it's made, you can't say that it was Big Bang. You can't say all these other things. So that's why they do it.
Exactly.
Control, division.
Oh
Money.
yeah, the creator is in control, right? And that's what we see there, right? That's how we follow, right? That's where we look for the signs. That's where we have hope, right?
Oh yeah.
That after the bad times is gonna come the good times, right?
It's funny, like we talk about creation. I mean, we're getting into bees. We might do bees next year. At least do 3 hives. Bees are just fascinating. Anybody ever studied the bees and what they do? And it's just, I mean, you can tell that. I mean, it's no kind of, it's designed. Awesome. It has to be designed. I mean, there's no way.
Look, even the honeycomb structures are perfect, and this is actually connected to the luminaries as well, and like the perfect space they fill, and the resonant cavities in the bees, like, and that's how they they travel like through the pressure like within their like I love bees.
Yeah, so they're so fascinating. They just really are. It's like, and people think they just take it for granted.
And you can actually find out where like beehives are, like even underground, like literally using one of those not a metal detector, sorry, like by measuring like the magnetism, like in areas. And I want to make sure that I hope I didn't say because I said 88. I don't know if I was if I said that like for Venus, but like I might have been like looking at Mercury. Not might have been, I was. And so with the 13 to 8 ratio being the golden ratio, because Mercury is the one that makes the pi.
She's so passionate. She talks fast like I do when I'm really passionate.
I gotta slow down.
I do. I do it too. Like you heard me even in the pre-interview, when we were doing that little thing. I get going. I mean, I got this homestead. Shut up. Slow down, Paulino. But yeah, it's great. I mean, the passion there, energy. It's wonderful.
Absolutely. Adding to about the bees, right? I have a video on my Facebook page that have at least few million views, and it's about the bees, that how they are not flying, they're reaching a frequency where they are levitating. Even the air and the wind even doesn't affect them. They create a bubble. They create almost like a shield, right? Have few million views and maybe more than 10,000 comments on that, right? Globers going crazy.
Of course they are. And it's unfortunate too, because even with the Searle effect generator and like the levitation discs, etc., like even his designs for these levitation discs, I think that's where like people that are like the first UFO alien aircrafts that they were sharing like in the media, like I think they were again just looking at his levitation technologies and again just applying it to like again this like propaganda regarding Project Bluebeam. But yeah, Venus.
Yeah. Now that
But
you
yeah.
mentioned about Bluebeam, says let's speak something about the Bluebeam. What do you think? What's happening?
I think there's more and more fake disclosures coming out, or people being lied to. So even with Stephen Greer and I forget what his name is, but like the Area 51 guy, but they may have been given information or what they thought were facts, and again completely off, right? But people again seeing like what they would do with that information, right? It's like people mess with people all the time. It's unfortunate, and yeah, so they might think that is real and but Stephen Greer has said that like over 98% of what they're calling like UFO observations or whatever, at least he's admitting 98%, but it's like 100%. But he's saying again that these are advanced technologies, again that are being utilized and experimented with by humans, right? So I can like Raytheon, Lockheed Martin, like I can tell you the names of these companies that have advanced technologies that do work as kind of like a deep state arm. Or shadow government, whatever you want to call it, but they have access to all of these technologies, and there's like a slow release of some of them, or where their training might have gotten caught, right? And people are thinking that these are alien spacecrafts because they're like, oh, we don't have these advanced technologies, we don't know anything on Earth that can move like this, but like actually, yes, we do, right? Like, you need to look at magnetism more, and remove yourself away from. Again, thinking that like we don't have those technologies when we've had this in the past, even.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, it's funny that you see, and they even train us as truthers to say advanced. I think it's just rediscovered.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So it's not really advanced. It's just going back. But
Good
isn't
point.
it funny how
Yep.
they train us to say it's, advanced technologies, but I know what you mean. You're like, you even just said it.
Advance in the
Stuff,
past.
Yeah. Yes. It's all it is. They're just like bringing out stuff that they hid it from us. That's really what they did.
100%. Yeah, and it's been also destroyed. There's been libraries burnt. There's been beautiful infrastructure completely decimated, like throughout thousands of years, which is infuriating. But this is a way for people, again, to people that are just crazy. They just don't like nice things because, again, they don't understand it. Or it can be people that don't want people to know that these technologies or this infrastructure existed.
Yeah, they're rebuilding the past, like all those buildings, Tartaria or whatever that you want to, like these ancient buildings. Like there's those videos going around, like in Illinois, when there was like only 500 people in this town, but they have this structure like the Capitol building. Like, who built this thing? There's like got all these, paintings and stuff, the sculptures, and you're like, who did this? And why are they doing it of Zeus and the Greek gods? Like these people that are just in a small town in Illinois, why would they do that? They wouldn't.
100%. Yeah, things absolutely. These infrastructure being rediscovered.
They found it.
and we are devolving, and it's unfortunate because there's so much pseudoscience that's being taught, like in STEM. Actually, all of STEM right now, like essentially, it's just mind blowing. Like where we're at, right? Where like men could be women, women could be men. All of like it's just like, anyways. Like I don't know what your thoughts are on that. I shouldn't have gone on that topic, but. Yeah, like the pseudoscience. And so we had such brilliant people. Like I have read the works of like the people that I've mentioned, like Ibn al-Satir and Tusi and Eudoxus and Hipparchus and Tycho Brahe. The works are just incredible. And everything they put together. And again, with the Musica Universalis and things like that, like even with the more esoteric literature, even though like they're misinterpreting a bit of it, it's still like there's so much knowledge in it. And people are not at that level anymore, and it's because we don't even have public debates, right? Like we're not getting along anymore. It's like left versus right, this versus that, etc. And so there's no open discord like they used to in Athens, have it like the Parthenon and things like that, where people would actually speak and debate and not get friggin' murdered, right? Like that used to be a thing. And so we can't even have like these conversations without, again, being at risk. So even stuff that I've shared, trying to be as polite and respectful as I can during my videos, because I do understand, again, that like everyone's struggling. We all have our own issues, but trying to share information that is based on facts. And I have people that are again, they're very emotionally charged, and they're driven by like subjective like ideology instead of actual objective data or truth. And they are, again, like it's been like I've been doxxed. I've had my address doxxed. I've had people swat me. So they're literally lying to me, to law enforcement, literally lying to me. And where I'm able to prove it, luckily, but even trying to get accountability for that, like it's not happening. And so it's like, wow, like if you are sharing the truth, even when you're respectful and sharing facts, again, as a veteran and an international security analyst and all these things, I'm getting these low IQ, and I mean this respectfully, clowns, these Karens and stuff like that, that are literally, again, like they just would rather me die because I'm proving their ideology wrong, right? They're so weak that they have to like shut people down because they don't want to have their foundation rocked. To me, is so weak, right? And so this is where we're at. Sorry for the rant.
Oh yeah, the controllers, they don't want, right, the people speaking the truth. But the problem is also they know very well that even the masses care care less. They care shit that even now, if the truth is out there, they don't want to see it, right? They are running away from the truth because everything we want to know is out there.
It's hard to find though. It's so hard to get it though. And I'm even with all my training and my background and things like that, it is really hard to get and to compile like what I think to be the closest version of reality there is. And so I can only imagine like anyway.
Well, look at all this data you have and all this information that you, Vikka, and all these different, things that are true in reality, but people are more, and they get them so addicted to the new iPhone coming out, the new Fold from Samsung, the big screen TV, holograms so that you can have them at your graduation party, anything, other than the reality that
football,
really
right?
Football, yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Everything. It's all just a distraction. People get so caught up on that. People fight over what team they like. I mean, it's so weird. And they're not getting paid. The professionals are, and these other people are fighting. It's just ridiculous.
Yeah, like I've had family members block family members on social media, like all out fights over like Boston versus Montreal versus Toronto, like the hockey games. It's wild.
Yeah, and I'm like, what? Are you guys getting paid?
Yeah.
And then they use the word we. We did this. We did that. Oh, you guys are getting a check. I mean, I don't get it.
Yeah.
Let's deal with reality and let's go grow a tomato. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, it's unfortunate, but because but I'll even say that within even the households nowadays, like people are again, when you're not informed, and again, not your fault, then it's hard to teach your children the truth, right? And then you also have the caveat of like, if you're going to teach your children the reality of the world, it's drastically different than what academia is going to teach. So you're going to have your kids going into even elementary school or the daycares, and they're going to be questioning these teachers, right? That are like, again, like it's misinformation, and they're doubling down in a lot of cases too. So like we have people that are teachers that they're really just like sticking to a curriculum. It's all memorization. They want everyone else to memorize. There's zero critical thinking going on. And a lot of it, again, like what are they pushing in the schools? Not history, not how to read, not how to do math. They're so, again, like low level when it comes to that now. And it's not their fault. They have teachers. There's so much more going on to that than just that. And not to blame just the teachers, but I was doing a second degree for cognitive science, but science degree. And then even with that, like I was branching out, getting electives and other topics and things like that because I was interested, and why not? And even at Carleton University, like university in Canada, they're teaching pseudoscience. And even when I shared dissertations and theses, I literally had a friggin' girl that sounded like she was 8 years old give me a wellness check. And I'm like, did you even look at what I shared? Like before you, and it's like, and I'm just like, okay. And so like, even just sharing this information, like there's, you're not even in the science department. Like this was literally, and so I don't blame her or anything like that, but I'm like, before you call me for a wellness check, first of all, I was so angry at that. Right. But anyways, I'm like, look at the work that I shared first. And anyway. And so even within academia, I was going to the heads of the departments because I wasn't vaccinated. I couldn't go and have in-person conversations. I'm like, I'm willing to give this all my work. And I've shared some of my work with Vikka. This is groundbreaking, revolutionary stuff. And academia at the top that I was even paying to attend, I couldn't even go in person. Like they just wanted to refuse to listen to it. And again, it's the septum nose rings, it's the short purple hair, it's the fat people, right, that I'm trying to talk to that are get so frustrated, but they're so fudging dumb and about basic stuff. And I'm like, okay. And so you don't want to talk to me because you're the professor, right? And even though I'm older than you and way more experienced than you and actually already have a degree, like you don't even want to listen to me. Okay.
Oh yeah, it's like that. So before we continue, let's say hello to our brother Psychedelics. Psychedelic, how are you, brother? Don and Paulino, I don't know if you met Psychedelic before. He's also part of the family. So hello
Vikka,
to
my brother.
How you doing?
Hello.
Nice to meet you.
Psychedelic. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. It's good to finally meet you, Paulino. I've been watching you guys for a while now. Don, it's a pleasure. I got to catch a little bit of the show before I hopped on. I just want to say you've done your homework, man. I just want to say how impressed I am with all the knowledge that you've gathered, even just presenting in just that little bit right there. It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you guys for having me.
Thank you so much.
Oh yeah, you two are awesome, brother. I don't know, Don, if you checked his stuff. Psychedelic is awesome. He also goes into so much detail, totally scientific stuff, right? No pseudoscience, no making shit up. No. Everything could be really like back check and fact check, right? He's also gone into deeper books, amazing books, and he also understands a lot about this realm and all we were speaking about, right? The technologies and everything that the ancient had and how these people are trying to block it from us and being as a global, right? So absolutely.
Yeah, I like to do the book report kind of videos I've been doing lately. You know, when I present my stuff, I really just like to put it right in people's face, you know, because a lot of people will just say what they got to say, you know, and I'll just kind of like put the reference right there in their face. I've just been doing kind of like book report style videos. I'm addicted to the analema, you know, that's just like my favorite thing to make videos on. And it's really important. I'm an astrotheologist, so I connect the movement of the sun to all of the ancient literature and all of that. So I go really into detail. I like to point out the details and things to really unveil a lot of the stuff that's like really obvious to us. Like literally everything that they write about has been here all along, like years. It's just right in the sky. And that they've taken that celestial story and they basically extracted that and have put it into a material type of form. And it's just being repeated over and over again. Like you said, Paulino, there's nothing new under the sun. It's all the same stuff that we're rediscovering again. It's all this technology has been here. We're just rediscovering it in new kinds of ways. It's just really mind blowing that, you know, we've just been so asleep. We've been in a slumber. Don, like how you were saying, we're in the great year, in that great processional year, we're coming out of that slumber of the great procession and finally coming into an age of enlightenment. And we're seeing it now. We're seeing the repercussions of that manifest right in front of us, which is it's just something to be a part of. It's a really great time to be alive right now.
I agree.
Absolutely. Yes, the story of the stars, the Mazareth, right? The astrology, right? This is how life sustained itself, right? And no, how do you say, somebody like Newton or some wrote Principia, right? The calculus, right? The stars have been doing maths from the beginning of time when the creator set this in motion, right? When the creator set this in motion, there has to be a beginning. There has to be a creator to put this in motion that we are trying to observe and record and follow, right?
Oh yeah, for sure.
Oh yeah.
It's gonna go on even if we don't pay attention. It's just gonna keep doing the same thing.
100%.
100%.
Like time stops, right? No, it doesn't. It keeps going.
It
See,
does.
if you don't want to recognize it, it's still gonna go. The tree's still gonna grow. The bees are gonna do their thing. Sun, moon, and stars are gonna do the same thing. It's crazy. That's why they don't want you looking at anything but your phone.
Yeah,
Netflix.
yeah, it's oh, Netflix. I just watched this movie. I think it's like From Highest to Lowest. I love Denzel Washington, but that movie was such a propaganda piece. Oh my goodness.
Now I gotta watch it. See,
Oh, it's terrible.
We
Don't
watch
watch
stuff
it.
to analyze most of the time, right? And once in a while, you'll get like, all right, we watch a lot of kids' movies too, like animated things, because we have little kids. So like Mario or something like that. And then you can't even watch that because the stars aren't real. That's not how it works. Blah blah blah. So like my son is a moon watcher too. He spots the moon all the time. He loves the moon. He loves the biblical calendar. He's only 4.5.
Oh, really?
And he spots the moon better than me, man.
Amazing.
He'll call it hiding when it's lunar conjunctive. He knows when it's the full moon, and yeah, he's amazing, man. It's like it's weird when you're little; they just suck everything up.
Mhm.
So we have to tell things when it's fake. Like, oh, we're not a planet, we're a plane, and so. But he's gonna know both sides, and he knows which ones make sense, which one doesn't.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah. He knows what he has to say in class to pass.
We're gonna be homeschooling, but yes.
Oh, nice.
Yeah,
Perfect.
Yeah.
Oh, perfect. Yeah, that's what I would have done.
Oh yeah, absolutely done. Where you want to go next?
Well, with Venus, because I just wanted to make sure that and so for the time it takes to travel
yeah.
one full circuit around the sun, and a 360-degree circle is 225 days, right? And then the max distance from the equatorial ring north and south that Venus takes is based off of when the sun is at its minimum and maximum distances as well, right? So when the sun is on its extreme southern path, this is where Venus, because again it's locked into it's field locked with the sun, that's where it can go a couple degrees beyond that 23.4 degrees south and north latitude, depending on where it is on its travel path as the sun's traveling over the earth, like between the tropics. And and so we've already talked about the Fibonacci ratio, the perfect pentagram over 8 years, the golden ratio connection with that. But then we'll do Mercury, because Mercury is technically, well, it is closer to the sun on its path, like its circular ring path. And so it takes 88 days to do a full 360-degree circuit around the sun, as the sun is traveling around the earth, and also like going a little bit slower than the zodiac, right? And so with Mercury, it's a very tight, smaller ring. The closest to the sun stays relatively close to the sun's path, but can slightly exceed the sun's limit. And because I want to make sure that I get this correctly. Sorry, I'm all over the place.
Oh yeah, it also represents Buddha. Yeah, and brain. Go ahead. Yep.
Yeah, and pi. And so what do I have here for my notes? So
are you writing a book?
I've written multiple books, but they're in draft form. No, this is just notes that I put together based on the work that I've compiled for my first draft books. But I have multiple different topics. This is what I mean. For the last 3 years, I've been compiling so much onto actual paper, not just notes on a book or like in my head and stuff like that, or on videos, but to write it down. And so, because it's a lot, and so for Mercury, my notes, the wave ratio. So Mercury's tight, single looped cardioid shape. Actually, when you map it out in relation to the sun on its travel path, it forms the heart shape. And so the result of a very fast, high frequency orbit or rotation vibrating closely around the sun, and even connected to the color blue and communication and truth and things like that. The sound is a high, rapid, shimmering treble or a piercing overtone. And when you scale it up, you can actually hear it. But because its wave is so compressed, it sounds like a fast vibrato on a string instrument. So compressed because it's closer to the influence of the sun. And I did have it. Actually, maybe I'll go into my notes here 1 minute here, because I want to get into pi and phi. And I'm just going to Control F for Mercury. Sorry. I'm like, let's talk about Mercury. And then I'm like, oh, wait. Okay, so completes one circuit around the sun in roughly 88 days. Maximum distance from the equatorial ring is 28 degrees, but then that's when the sun is on its limit. So long-term counts for the approximation of pi, the 3.14, because the time it takes to circle the sun, and then the sun's circle as it travels around the Earth on an annual basis. And it also forms, like for the temporal map for the orbital resonance, like 6-pointed hexagram loom, and the caduceus. And so like that's also connected with Mercury. So when we look at the physical map, it can be explained by the Kelvin-Helmholtz waves and tail. Like I'm like so deep into the science here, so I hope and then for esoteric maps.
Exactly. And speaking about the Mercury, also in the Antikythera mechanism, right, there's that oscillation thing, wobble between the Gay ratio, especially for the Mercury, right?
Yeah, so Mercury traces a rapid fine hexagrammatic triangular loom due to its swift synodic cycles occurring 3 times a year, right? So like it's like 88 days approximate, and that gives you like in an annual 365 divided by 80. Anyways, so you've got that, and that gives you the pi.
Yeah, Mercury, for people watching, Mercury and Venus are the only luminaries that circle around the sun, just so people know that we're talking about geocentrism here. Like people probably misrepresent that.
Well, on that, even with Tycho Brahe and my own model has it where the Mercury and Venus is circling on a tighter orbit around the sun, but that Mars, Saturn, and that Mars, Jupiter, and Saturn are also circling the sun, field locked to the sun as it also travels around. And so that'd be interesting. We could talk about this either now or offline and see, and talk about that. But the geometry of the cardioid path that it takes, and I did give Vikka like a diagram of like the shape that it makes on its path. And
the most of them, they make like the chakras, the petals of the chakras, right? Yes. Different chakras relating to different luminaries, having their own colors, their properties, right? Their frequencies, their numbers.
Yes, and so the sun is connected to the crown chakra. The moon is connected to the pineal gland or third eye, and then Mercury with the throat. Connected to color blue, and then you've got like Venus with love, that chakra is connected to it, and then you've got with Jupiter or with Mars is the solar plexus, and then it's Jupiter is the sacral plexus, and then you've got the root chakra that's connected to Saturn, the root. And actually even Saturn creates like the greater circle path when it's at its limits. And so even from the equatorial ring, the Saturn can go outward at its maximum limit up to 40 to 50 degrees from the equatorial limit. And it takes a 29.46 year cycle for Saturn, again, to travel like that 360 degree circuit on its own path. And it's connected to the resonance with the moon's 29.53 synodic month, right? So there's connections even with Saturn and the moon in that mathematical patterns. And yeah, where is it going with this? There's so many.
Oh yeah, it's absolutely, it's all interconnected in reality, because if we speak about this clock, it's like a computer. What it's doing, it's doing that maths, right? Real maths, right? So all the luminaries have to be interrelated to each other, and their position and the return of their positions. That's the reason they can even predict even the path of the eclipses.
Oh yes, and that's with the 2C coupling as well. So when you have it, and I did videos on this, but if you imagine, like when you have, I wish I could write this out, but when you have these circular ring paths that the luminaries are taking, like field locked to the sun, as they're orbiting or doing the 360-degree rotation around the sun, there's periods where it will look like it's opposite of the sun in relation to us as we're looking. And then there'll be periods on its path where like it can be closer to us, right? So closer than the sun in relation to, again, its orbital path that it's taking circling the sun. And so people are like, so we can explain, again, eclipses, retrograde motions, etc., based on our observations from where we are in relation to the luminaries, but it's dependent, again, on what position the sun is on its relative path. So even with Mercury and Venus, they're actually closest to, like, well, they are at their maximum limits. They actually all, because the sun's at its maximum limits, if that makes any sense. And so the further the sun moves away from us, the further the luminary, again, it depends on their path, right? So if they're closest to us on their path as we're looking up on its ring path, then again, it will appear closer than the sun and is at those points. And that's why even with Venus, sometimes it's seen as a morning star, sometimes it's seen as an evening star. It's because it's depending on the season and where it's at on its circular ring path surrounding the sun, on its travel path around the sun.
Beautiful.
Oh yeah, and the constellation too. Go ahead, Sai.
I was just going to comment on Don. A lot of people are not aware of that they call it the morning and the evening star as well. That's why you'll see Venus in a crescent sometimes.
Yes. And the reason why it has phases and Mercury has phases is again, not full phases like the moon does, but it's because of their proximity to the sun. And so when the moon is closest to or in conjunction with the sun or closest to it, that's when we have new moon periods. When it's furthest away in opposition, that's when we have full moons. And so even the moon's path, like through it cycles through the months, it's lunar paths. Like you can go from like a full moon, if the full moon is, for example, is in Capricorn,
90 degrees or 180 degrees opposite, right?
Yeah. Yes, 180 degrees. And then so the following month, again, depending on like the cycle, right? Because like it's 18.6 year cycle or 19 year cycle, depending on if you're looking at the Saros or Metonic cycle, but it will go into Aquarius, and then it will go into Pisces, and then again, and so even new moon periods, new moons in the same month usually follow when the sun is in that sign as well. So in the same month, typically, again, depending on like, again, the alignment, etc., you'd have a new moon would be in, for example, Cancer this month. And I can check it out. But again, it depends on the phase. And then the full moon would be in Capricorn. Right. Or
yeah, like the how do you say, the moon set and the sunrise or something like that is going to be the same direction or the same place, right? Especially today.
Well, the moon is on its maximum lunar limit. So like it's just like at about 28 degrees right now, north and south latitude of the equatorial ring in relation to us. And so that also, again, does change things. And so even the moon, right? It's not tidally locked or whatever you want to call it to the earth. It's I mean, if you want, technically there's some kind of like a superconducting magnet at the center of the earth that's also assisting with the toroidal and poloidal fields. I don't know what the comments look like. I hope people think I'm not crazy when I talk about this stuff. But the moon, its travel path is roughly, again, it's slower than the sun. So about 14.5 degrees per day. But in relation to the zodiac or the Mazzaroth, it's approximately 13.6 degrees per day. But in relation to the sun, it's that 14.5 degrees. Again, it's slower than the sun on its circular path. And that's why like when we have like those allegories, these stories that are told about the rabbit and the turtle and things like that, it's actually the sun looping right passing the moon on its path.
Yes,
like
that's where that story comes from.
Yes.
The tortoise and the hare comes from the sun and the moon, for everybody watching. That's facts, man. I'm so impressed by you, Don. You know,
oh my God, thank you.
I'm so impressed by you. Oh my goodness.
I've been wanting to share this information out for like a few years now, but it's just so complex, and a lot of people, there's just like, even just talking about flat earth, like I feel like that's like the first step right before you even get into the cosmos and the luminaries. I don't know. Or maybe both at the same time.
I agree 100%. Yeah, you gotta set the foundation first. You know, and a lot of people don't even want to take that first step. You know, they have to take that leap of faith.
Yeah.
You know, because you're totally moving 180 degrees opposite of everything we've been moving towards understanding, you know, like it's kind of like the same thing we've been understanding, but from a different orientation, you know. So that's why people have they struggle with doing it. They just don't want to do it. They just rather not listen to it. I think you guys probably mentioned that before I hopped in, was, you know, the fact that we have so much stuff that's been taught to us. Most people just don't even want to take the time to listen to it because they've already have everything established and they think that's ultimately what it is, you know, but there's really so many other ways to interpret it. And that's where the actual deception comes from, is because the flat model and the globe model are kinematically equal. We look up and we see the same thing observationally, but if we interpret it differently, it's different explanations of what we're seeing. But both models, that's why it's so hard for people to get off the globe model, because they're equal kinematically. Like we're looking at the same, we all share the same thing, but it's just a different explanation, and they have to totally erase everything they've been taught, which is like again, I'm so impressed with everything you have done. I'm interested in hearing more. 100%.
Yeah,
Absolutely. Yep. Yeah. Go ahead, Paulino.
Yeah, I mean, what's amazing is like not just understanding it, but being able to speak about it. You're doing a really, really good job on that. And like, you know, everybody gets taught for 12 years and then they don't want to learn anything else.
Yes.
The difference between what you're saying is everything you're speaking about, just like we talk about the biblical calendar, everything works together. They can't do that. That's what I'm, you know, they have to tell you in this part, that part, but they can't put the two together because one will contradict the other one. And then, but people don't do that, right? So when they teach us in school, they don't do that. They teach you like this is what happens with the sun and moon, but they won't let you even get to the point where you're going, well, how does that keep up with the other thing? You know, they won't let you do that. They'll never teach them at the same time.
Oh yeah, you three of you are right on this. And to add something to what you were saying, like to understand the sky, we have to start from the ground. Absolutely. But the ground and the sky, I don't see the difference, right? That is the reason I always say to the people that it's important. I know even flat earthers have a hard time. No, the ground shouldn't be compared with the sky. But I always say this: the sky is equally or more important in knowing the shape of the earth, right? That's the reason. What is the study of cosmograph? Cosmography or cosmologists study the cosmos, right? In the cosmos, if you're studying the cosmos, you're not going to exclude yourself from where you are observing everything, right? So in the study of cosmograph, the luminaries is included. So our research, all our data should include both, because it is part of it as a whole system.
Yeah, it's funny that you say that, Vikka, because like right when you said that, I just pictured just us on Earth. You are here because you are here looking at that, and that shows you that we're staying there. But we have to be where we're at to see the rest of it. And like you're saying, you see Dawn's doing all that, talking about how it circuits around and all these things. But you have to be in your spot. They always forget our spot. It's really interesting.
As above, so below. And that's one thing that kind of like that differentiates the models. Like in the implication of the globe model, when you're taught from that perspective, it's kind of like you go down that path and it's like, oh, the outer space is out there. But when you understand toroidal geocentric cosmology, outer space is like right here. It's integrated into the understanding. And it's just it's very simply said, but it just totally changes everything, the ideology around it. It totally incorporates it into the observer, and you are important, like how you said, Paulino, which is an aspect of the geocentric cosmology which is what changes our world. It totally makes it so much more beautiful, in my opinion.
100%, because we are connected to that. Than what we see. We are connected. It's a line right to it.
Well, even the frame of reference, like the center point being at the north or the center of the earth, that is considered to be, for example, like the 90-degree reference. And then you have the equator being the 0 degree reference from that, right? As it relates to like 1 degree equaling 1 degree equaling 69 land miles or 111 kilometers. And so these are measurable distances. Like degrees are measurable distances as well, as I'm sure you guys definitely know this. And so if you look at like even like when we look at the radius and the alleged diameter of the Earth, like for me, it's like it makes no sense to me that people cannot see that it's larger than what we're being told, because like the alleged or like for the Earth, like the globe model, the radius has to be like 39, 30 or 90, whatever, less than 4,000 miles in radius, less than 8,000 miles in diameter. And so when you look at the calculations, for example, and this is actual physics, so this is something that people can actually do on their own. They don't take my word for it. But you have like the center point being the 90 degree reference frame, and even the quadrants, like the 360 degree circle divided by 4 being 90, and it being sectioned off based on that center point. So when the sun is like, even for example, 23.4 degrees north latitude of the equatorial ring. If you look at the Alex Gleason map, like the top-down view of like where these circular ring paths are in reference to the center. So you have the sun now 23.4 degrees north latitude traveling the Tropic of Cancer path. You do 90 minus 23.4. So I've got my calculator right. People can do this. 90 minus 23.4, and everyone knows what 66.6. So even that 66.6 connection. So that's the degree variation. And so you times it by 69, which is equal to 4,595 miles radius. And that's just from the distance of the Tropic of Cancer to the center point. And so if you look at even 90 degrees, which is like the center, reference to the equator at 0 degrees, I can even get my calculator out. Again, it's 90 times, and I already know what it is, 69, 6,210 miles radius, right? You have to double that for the diameter and then 2 pi r squared for the circumference. But even with the mathematics being applied alone, if people would literally just actually understand, and I mean this respectfully, if they understand like how you get the degrees, how you get the miles, how you get the kilometers, what it's in relation to, and perspective, all that stuff, then you can actually do your own calculations and verify that we're, I think, absolutely being lied to. If you look at the Tropic of Capricorn path, when the sun is during our winter months in the north, that's when the sun's perceived at its lowest point on the sine wave, longest days, shortest nights. And this is, you look at, it's 90 degrees plus 23.4, right? Because you've got the 90 degrees from the center to the equator, and then beyond that 23.4 degrees south latitude. So 90 plus 23.4 is equal to 113.4. You times that by 69, and that's 7,824 for a radius, right? For miles. And so, but people have a misinterpretation of like the equator being the great circle and it's being the widest path on Earth. Absolutely not. And even Saturn and Jupiter, again, and even the moon, depending on its phase within the Saros cycle, it does expand beyond 23.4 degrees. So even that in itself, like measurable, significant variation and what even the size of the Earth, which explains
Absolutely.
Explain
for sure.
paths, shipping routes, why there's no cruises or shipping routes, like again, a lot of places what we're considering to be the south, because they can't do it because it would take 10 million friggin' years, right? I mean, I'm exaggerating, but
Absolutely. So that means, according to that, for example, what you mentioned, right, the pole being at 90 degree, the equator being at 0 degree, right? So that means that the Earth has been measured, right? If we have those angles and the degrees to the equator and the sun moving at a particular speed, right? So that means that this Earth is measured, this Earth is mapped, right?
that's
It's
the
not
asteroids. Sorry.
exactly, and also the examples that you are giving between the equator and the tropics, and so from where did we get all that precise numbers? Because of the luminaries, because of the reference of the pinned sky, right? And that's the reason we have those longitudes and latitudes, because of the luminaries, right? Absolutely.
I love what they wrote in the chat. Somebody just wrote, yes, whatever Don just said. I agree. That's from Daniel. Shout out to him. It was pretty funny. He's pretty funny in the chat.
Shout out to Daniel. Yeah,
Yeah.
very impressive, man. I'm so blown away by Don's research, man. I'm
thank you.
absolutely in awe.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah,
Yeah.
like her passion just shows too. I mean, like she knows it.
Facts.
She's living this.
Yeah, it's just so
We all
fascinating.
do.
to
We
me.
all live it. They may not know it, but everybody's living it.
Yeah, it's just so fascinating to me, and that's why I don't understand why people don't even want to like talk about this stuff. They want to talk about. I don't mind like watching sports every now and then and stuff like that, just as a distraction from like all of this heavy stuff. It's literally just to like have a break, right, and just numb out and not think about anything. But yeah, but people are more interested in boring things to me.
Yeah, they're more interested in like Jim Carrey being replaced or something.
Yeah.
Like I don't care about that.
Facts, man. And you know what? It makes sense because long time ago, the ancients, like when you think about just technology in general, like that, just the fact that we have progressed with technology has drifted us away from appreciating what we're all talking about. With this knowledge was basically everything, the only thing that our ancestors had, because that was the only thing that was there to entertain them or to fulfill that need to be entertained or to satisfy themselves, was to look up at the stars, because they didn't have a phone in their hand. They didn't have jobs. They didn't have all the stuff that modern society has now of progressivism. And that's what's gotten us away. Like the fact that we can sit here and share this and bring this knowledge back to the light is important. For the mere fact that this was what it all was. Like it was that knowledge encompassed everything in the world, all the ancient cultures and civilizations. They were that connected, but it was like secondhand nature. It was the way that it was, because that was all that was there. And we've just slowly moved and progressed and figured out ways to do things with technology and things of that nature. It's just moved us away from being able to be connected to that, which is, I would think it's important, very important.
Yeah, 100%.
Oh yeah,
yeah. That's, I mean,
absolutely. Go ahead, Paulino.
Yeah, it's like they didn't want us connected anymore, man. Like everybody's so distracted with everything else. They grow our food for control and to keep us distracted, so we won't be connected on how food grows, the seasons, the clock in the sky, all these different things. So we're like less connected and less connected to each other. I mean, how many people really know their neighbors anymore, or talk to anybody in person? I mean, I love that we have this technology. We are using it. Like I'm not going to be able to go to Spain anytime soon, so it's great to be able to do that, or Canada, but it's just great to be able to talk. We are overcoming the distraction by using this to reach out and connect. I love it.
Let me comment on that real quick, Paulino, what you just said, like the fact that, and I want to connect it to what Don said earlier, even like how you said, just the fact that we grow our own food is connected even to the cycle of the sun. Of what Don said earlier, like the fact that the ancient civilizations, they had everything timed out on the movement of the sun. And when the sun was rising with Taurus, they all knew that at that moment they needed to plant their crops and do that at that specific time of the year. Otherwise, they were going to starve for winter. The mere fact that the sun was connected to the zodiacs throughout the year basically told them what they needed to do throughout the entire year for them to sustain themselves and to survive. And it's just simple things like that, simple understandings like that we've moved away from. Like, for example, the fact that like when the sun is with Taurus, it's the plowing season. It's time to grow your crops so that you can harvest in Virgo. Just those simple things, and it connects with all of the signs. They all have their own intricacies, but it's just knowledge like that you would say it to somebody nowadays and they'd be like, what the hell are you talking about? The sun in Taurus means the plowing season. They don't know it anymore. It's just that important, and they look past it. And I think that's why it's important for us to talk about this.
It is, because even like in Taurus too, like it also depends on like the phase of the moon, right? When if it's in its waxing or its waning phase, when to even plant root vegetables as opposed to like vegetables that grow like above the soil, and then even the colors of the moon, like during its full moon phases, it does alter throughout the seasons as well. And there's different names that people have given these full moon periods like throughout the ages. Like strawberry moons, blue moons, like things like that. Yeah. And it's dependent also on like when to, like you're saying, exactly, like when to plant, when to harvest. when to do certain like ceremonies, like an
Yes. Even scripture, right? Because you guys, I mean, anybody that reads the biblical text, that's why he refers to like the farmer and the planting and the seed and the sowing of seed, the wheat and the tares, when you're supposed to harvest. A lot of those things are witnesses because nature is the witness of God, right? Like you're not gonna, pull up the wheat in the middle of a season. You got to wait to the end of the season. So like all these things, and wine is at the end of the summer. You're not going to have wine in the beginning of the summer.
Wine is all summer. No, just kidding.
Yeah. You get what I mean? Though? Like all these things show you that they were watching and they know. And that's why he refers to it a lot about sowing the seed and when you're supposed to plant it, when it's going to be harvest and all these things. It's like people just don't, I don't know. They just don't recognize. They don't care. They go to the store and buy their vegetables.
Right. Yeah. It's that important, man. And we've just moved away from it. I think we need to get back in touch with it. 100%.
Oh yeah, that's what it means when they say Jesus turned water into wine. It's the season. It's the rain that goes up in the summer, and when it rains, it turns that fruit into wine, right? So it's just a way of explaining the sky, right? Also, before we pass on to this, we did a whole episode, Paulino and me, on the sun temples, right? Getting back to that equator and the Tropic of Cancer, right? So imagine 1,000 years ago, 2 temples were built right on the Tropic of Cancer, the 2 sun temples, right? So how precise they were, these ancients, about what we are speaking, about this whole sky and the earth that has been measured. It's the ruler, the sun is a ruler, right? Measuring the distance, the land, right? Every hour, every degree, every latitude. So nothing comes from a globe.
Even with I was getting to so even with like after like the March equinox, because we were talking about festivals and ceremonies for the full moon periods, but even religious ceremonies as well. And so I think it's usually like the first full moon after the spring equinox is when we like kind of celebrate, like we have like where our Easter months are like aligned with that, or at least it used to be. They make it easier now, but it used to be again based off of like the first full moon after.
It still is.
That's
Okay,
the Greek Orthodox is when it says that.
That's why Easter changes every year. It's not on the same day.
Yeah, exactly. And and that's even new moon ceremonies as well. And so even with Jesus, because you talked about wine, like even the Last Supper with Da Vinci, he's like at the center, but you have like the 12 disciples or apostles that are like on either side of him. And that's also based on the seasons and the zodiac signs, right? So starting with Aries and then going on towards the towards Capricorn at the end. Or sorry, Pisces, and then even with like how they're represented, like these disciples or apostles, it's representative of the zodiac signs, and he's right at the center. So he's between Virgo and Libra. So he's at the in that position technically. If we're looking at him, he's in the fall equinox, or the autumn equinox, whatever you want to call it. And so this is when the sun starts its descent from like equilibrium in the fall, and then starts when we start to get into our winter months. And then so even with the 25th of December for the birthday celebration, which other deities and prophets for the past as well, like it's connected to that. But you have it where, okay, I'm going to get on all these tangents, but on the 20th of March, if it's like the first day of your period, and I'm sorry, men, for this, but like after that, like what happens is like your conception date, if you conceive, like obviously like you ovulate a couple of weeks after that, but it's the 25th of December is your due date. So even with like the spring equinox and that connection with Christmas is connected to women, and it's also again connected to our festivals. And so when we're at the winter solstice, which is opposite, obviously 6 months from now, opposite of where the sun is now, 23.4 degrees south latitude, when we experience our longest days and shortest nights, it does again seem to it's a slower drift because it's further away, just like the moon when it's on its further circular ring path. It's a slower movement back to the equatorial ring band, but it looks like it stays in place like on that circular path. Obviously it travels every single day, but it stays kind of on the same outer perimeter for like 2 to 3 days. And then on that third day, it rises again from the lowest point. So even with that significance of Jesus dying in the tomb for 3 days and the resurrection, etc., there's possibly, again, a divine connection. I'm not saying it didn't happen. I'm saying, that would be, you know, if that was God's plan, like what better way to represent his son on earth than to be completely aligned as a human based on, again, the travel path of the luminaries, especially the most significant one being the sun.
Oh yeah, absolutely. That 3 days till that Jesus resurrects, that 3 days before the rebirth of Jesus Christ, you can feel that darkness. Every human being on this earth feels that somehow or another.
You know what I find interesting is like, so you're using like all that as well, and we talk about the scripture. And if you go, oh, I'm gonna use a biblical calendar, it's based on sun, moon, and stars, etc. Christians a lot of times will call you insane, not realizing the
I
Greek
know.
Orthodox use it to set Easter, so you're following the moon too. You just don't even know it. I think
Yeah, even
hilarious.
Coptic Christians in Egypt, like I'm like, it blows my mind. Like anyway,
Yeah, I'm like,
if you're a
how does-
Christian,
And astrology is totally demonized.
yep.
I don't know why. Why should it be like this? If the name of the book is telling you what it is, the Bible, the two bowl, the toroidal field, it's telling you the truth right there.
It literally
because
is.
people don't like the truth, Vika.
Yeah,
They say they do until you tell them. If it interrupts their life now and their life is okay, they're fine.
yeah. Well, I mean, they think their life is okay, but it's not. Right? We're at a point now where like Project Bluebeam, like yeah, it's getting closer and closer. I think because like, there's so much information possibly that might make its way to like the highest levels of government, but again, there are still going to be people that are like they're doing, they're just going to shut it down. They're not going to look at it. They're going to refuse to look at it because they don't want it to, again, make it where they have to make decisions that they don't want to make, right? Oh, they're going to be tested. People don't want to get tested. Am I a good person or am I a bad person? Am I good or am I evil? And so they'd rather just not find out on their own because they're cowards. Sorry that was just too traumatic, but
No, it's true.
It's true.
That's,
I think
that's
it's
the flat out truth, man.
Yeah.
And
yeah. And don't you guys think though, a lot of these people, I guess the people in the masses are like, well, if there's aliens, what's that going to do for me? How does that affect my Amazon?
I still got to go to work tomorrow.
yeah.
Is my Amazon still going to get delivered or?
But taxes are higher, right? And the quality of life that we're experiencing is degrading. And I do think we spend over over $1 trillion now a year on like these NASA, RASA, ISS space programs internationally. There's so much money being, even in Canada, we're now again these big contracts that are coming out with the Space Force and this and that. And I'm just like, you're spending money. Like we have record breaking homelessness and people that are hungry, right? Food lines through the roof. People getting like they're defaulting on their mortgages. All of these things. And we're spending so much money, billions or trillions of dollars on, again, lies, when that could be going to improve our quality of lives. And for anyone to say that everything is fine, well, that must be nice for you now. But like if there is some kind of a fake and staged and planned alien invasion, I'm going to assume that, and again, I don't want to scare anyone, but like there will be people that will die, right? If they're going to be using these advanced technologies that they have and these holographic projections that they have and that they utilized before to make people think that they're real, or like genetically altered human, like cyborg type freaking humans and robots and things like that, then there is absolutely a cause to be concerned, right? And they're even now taking religious leaders and they're having meetings, the government's having meetings and they're giving them these disclosures of like UFOs and stuff like that. Again, they're taking even Christians, like religious leaders, away from God and the Bible, and they're lying to them. And now they're talking from their pulpits as if aliens might come or there's UFOs and stuff like that. Completely anti-biblical. And it might hurt us, you know, like humanity as a whole. And even like with the propaganda that they've been sharing for years, they're saying, you know, essentially that an alien invasion would be like the solution again to like all the division that we see in the world. And so I don't know, like I see that the more they're releasing information, like all this fake stuff, and the more they're trying to like propagandize people from like multiple different groups, then I don't see how this doesn't roll out. Like even with like the moon orbit, or whatever they wanted to call it, with Artemis 2 mission, like they're just going around the freaking moon and then coming back. And again, there were so many glitches and stuff like that, but they're getting away with it. And so, yeah.
I mean, one of the things, like, I mean, I talked to a lot of non-conspiracy type people, but they even thought that was fake, but they laughed, but because they still got to go to work. You know what I mean? The best way to get people to go against, NASA or something is to tell them, if you can show that they're fake, that they have to reimburse us all that money, we get cut checks, everybody, gangbangers would go and try to find and tell you that the earth is flat. You know what I mean? They would all go out if we get that money back.
Yeah.
And it's got to be in their pocket. People are so worldly and so caught up in bills and their distractions that, I mean, you gotta get them interested in some other ways. It's really sad, but some people just don't care.
Yeah.
And I don't understand. It's hard for me to understand. Well, that's why we have the veils video. If you go to our we have a video that it talks about the different veils, and the higher you go up in veils, the more you're deemed insane by the people in the lower veils because they can't see it.
Yeah. And it's hard too, because we even had this this Canadian, he's actually a genius. Like, he had like a biomedical degree or something like that. He was certified in Canada, which means committed. He's in a psych ward now, a literal genius that he's even published scientific books, articles out there. And because he was sharing information about like the possibility of this being an authoritarian regime, which by the way it is, and he was talking about his concerns with like China's infiltration of Canada being a security risk, all of this stuff. That is what was concerning. So you had these people, again, like these like psychiatrist types. When you look at IQs, by the way, like in academia, at the lower end of the IQs, and again, not to be disrespectful, it will be like the social welfare programs, that will be the teachers and people in the psychology departments and stuff. The higher up you go, it's like finance, economics, like the STEM fields, astrophysics, being a doctor, being like again, higher IQ. And you have people that are lower IQ, not that their jobs aren't important and that they're not doing good work for the most part. So like, I'm not taking away from it. Teachers, my sister's a teacher. I love, like, there are good teachers out there. There's a lot of junk teachers out there as well that she complains about as well. But yeah, I don't even know where I was going with this. I lost my train of thought. Catch me up. Oh yeah, it's just it's hard again to get that target audience, and so it's hard to get it at the lower levels. I've been trying to like reach academia. And even that, right? Like even giving information to people that I think are actual geniuses, really smart, they're even refusing to look at it. And so, yeah, I was trying to like, again, talk to like areas and departments where I thought I can in fact affect the most change, because I do understand why people, again, that are doing like what you're saying, the daily grind, like my family does as well. Like they're too busy with their lives and they work long hours to like focus on this stuff. So I've taken the opportunity to put a lot of work together since I have time now, because I've refused contracts, like especially in the last few years. If it takes away from the work I'm doing, it has to be worth it. And so I would only do an official government contract again, if it's me talking about this stuff or what's going on with Russia, Ukraine, the Middle East, and Canada, domestic operations and stuff like that. But yeah. Oh yeah. And so with that, so you have people that are lower IQ than people that are in the medical fields that are able to certify them and commit them into psych wards, and then have law enforcement also assist with that, right? So this is terrifying stuff happening in Canada, where you could be smart, but as soon as you're seen as a dissenting voice against the government, the regime will literally commit you and or take away your guns. I've seen like that stuff happening as well.
And that could be from anything, right, Don? Like if they just simply want to even just make one video, that they want to speak out against the narrative at all, that's all it takes. Especially nowadays, it's such a sensitive subject area where people they're finding the courage to do it, but they know that they have so much on the line to risk, which is why like we appreciate those types of people who are genuine and sincere. They come forth with following through with that. But it's just like how you said, Don, some of these people, it's the situation that they're in that causes them to not be able to move forward with doing stuff like that.
Yeah. And it's throughout history as well, like even with like Stalin and Mao and Pol Pot and even Zelensky, and even happening in Canada more and more, and even in Nazi Germany, in Nazi like Europe, but the people like right early on, when you had authoritarian regimes like dictators like take control of a society, shortly thereafter, so even with Nazi Germany, for example, within like a few days of Adolf Hitler getting his actual the majority power, he had over 1,000 people executed. And these were the high-level academics, generals, people within government at the highest levels that were speaking out against what he was sharing and warning public. They were warning people, religious leaders as well. Anyone that was speaking out, they were jailed, they were executed, they were put in concentration camps as well. Or again, they had to like flee, for their lives in order to not be targeted, right? And the same thing happened with Stalin, like the Holodomor as well. Like they will target the people that are able to clearly explain the truth and from a position of authority. You know what I mean? And they can't have that. So even with the Charlie Kirk assassination, and who I think was possibly involved in it, right? Anyways, that's a standard tactic that's used throughout the world historically.
Absolutely. Yep. These controllers don't want to lose the control, right, of what they are trying to do. Like they know that this tool is helping them a lot to keep their indoctrination going without them literally doing a lot, right? That's the reason we see so many globe cards on every social media defending blindly the globe, and they're not updating their shit, right? So absolutely. And as we were speaking about these people, these geniuses, right, they don't want to lose their credibility because they became genius on some of the pseudosciences, the so-called PhDs and the astrophysicists. They all are teaching lies because that's what goes down the drain if the truth comes out, right? So there are many others, and there are people who have put out like loans and student loans and everything they can to get that piece of paper that in reality, like unless it's a skill, it's useless.
Yep.
Yeah, and I think a lot of these people that people deem as smart are just really good parrots, right? If you go in there and you just follow the narrative and you can repeat what they've taught you and you keep saying it loudly, they're like, this guy's smart, he's got a PhD, but he never challenged any of it.
Yeah, Sean Ryan had a guest on exactly what you're talking about. She said all of these big words that made no sense at all, like even in the same sentence, and it was just word vomit. And like these are the people that are getting platformed by people that have millions of viewers. And I have consistently tried to get on that show because I'm sick of like the Stephen Greers and like these like propagandists that are going on a show that are absolutely ignorant as to like the reality of the world, and so like they're making it worse as well.
I think one of the hardest parts is like, how do you reach people, right? I mean, that's like as somebody that has all this knowledge and truth seeking and spreading of the truth, like how do you reach them? And and so like that's our mission. That's why like I have different channels that we're starting that I don't bring up the other one. Like like the golf one is going to be golf, the homestead's going to be that, Yamo Records, the music is going to be just regular music, that has truth in it, but it's more, like it can be in any genre. Just because that's how you plant seeds for us. That's my mission, is to like we're fishers of men. It takes different bait, and if I can bring him in through music, through a golf channel, through a homestead channel, through a podcast, whatever it takes, I'm reaching so many different peoples from so many different bubbles. I guess we'll call them sections or bubbles.
And that's a good idea, Paulino. I see what you're saying. Okay, so kind of like start like different niches, with different channels, and then plant seeds here and there, little pieces of truth, because each of those types of stereotypical type of people, they all receive the information in different ways,
Yeah, like the music one. I'm working with 5 different producers. None of them are FE. None of them are really truth seekers, but some talk about God, some do not. They're just, like they're regular people, I guess. But the music's going to reach so many things. So like if the music takes off, or when the music takes off, they'll want to know who I am. Then they'll find out about the podcast. Then they'll find out about the homesteading. Then they'll find out whatever it takes to lure them into truth, I don't care. I'll use whatever I can use. I'm gonna be doing a comic book probably in a year. I used to be a comic book artist, and I got a whole thing. And there's a lot of truth in there, a lot of biblical stuff and scientific stuff. It's like I have a whole bunch of stuff that I'm doing. It's just like I'm trying to reach people and bring them in, plant seeds. It's up to them to seek the nourishment after that. So whatever tickles their fancy, right? Sorry.
Oh,
Vikka.
yeah.
Sorry, Don. It's your show.
No.
No,
We didn't really get into like a Saturn as much as I would have liked to, or like Jupiter, but that could be for like another show, because that in itself, like there's just so much I wanted to talk about with that I didn't want to just rush, because it's 2 hours right now.
No, we could. I think a little bit we can go on. Yep. I'll let you guys know if in a bit. You can go ahead.
Okay, so I had Mercury. I had pulled up for Saturn here.
This is the thing also till you find what we go on to next. But this is the thing also I wanted to mention, right? As Paulino was saying, like doing different niche and everything. So I also here on Flat Earth, YouTube, my Facebook, TikTok, everywhere. That's also I only stick to Flat Earth, right? Maybe when I go to Paulino's TikTok, we speak about homesteading and other part of what also I have interest too. So, right? But on my YouTube, on Facebook and TikTok, I only do Flat Earth. Even though on tonight podcast, we like surf into many things, and especially with Dawn, right? She covered all things in it, but so because she's so fast, I think the algorithm is not gonna get it. So we are good. So continue, Dawn.
Just further with Saturn, and I don't know if I'm being redundant when I say this, but it does. So Saturn takes approximately 29.5 solar circuits, right? So the amount of time it takes to go 360 degrees around the sun on its path to complete. So its ratio closely matches the moon's synodic month length. So you have the moon, its travel path in relation to the zodiac, and then you have its in relation to the sun. And so the 27.3 or whatever it is versus the 29.53, that is what is in relation to. So there's a slower period. Again, it's because the sun is moving slightly slower than the zodiac. And so it creates a harmonic seal between the outermost solar tethered gear and what I would consider to be like the greater circle. And so our astrophysical characteristics, it's the slowest visible frequency tethered to the sun. It's a massive 30-point boundary ring at its maximum extent, and so acts as the outer harmonic boundary of the active clockwork. So it functions as a structural limit of the solar tethered system. The zodiac again is the perimeter, the boundary line. So providing the low frequency resonance that locks the entire mechanism into phase with the other luminaries, well, with the sun, etc. And let me see what else. Okay, so I don't want to go through this too fast. Yeah, and there's also again sacred geometric patterns that are formed when that I wish I had like the diagram that I could show you, but it is mapped out. And let me see here what I have in Saturn in this note. Okay. Does anyone else want to add anything with Saturn? I think I pretty much got it all.
You know, so funny when you're talking about all these circuits and stuff. It just reminds me of Ezekiel's wheel. And
yes,
I always explain it as the timepiece, right? Clockwork of the Most High, right? That's really what it is. Like when I think of the mechanical realm, all that stuff, it's just a timepiece, man.
It is. Okay, yeah. So Saturn pretty much sums it up. Like again, the connection with like this, that the moon's synodic month being 29.53 and Saturn's annual rotation being 29, not annual, but its rotation to 360 degrees that it takes to travel the sun is 29.46 years. It does go up to 40 to 50 degrees further again from the equatorial ring, and again the largest ring path, which is why Saturn again is connected to the root, or like the color red, the root chakra, that being at the foundation, and then again from the lead to gold that you have as well, that people talk about to become enlightened. It's literally talking about that. And yeah, and then Kronos being connected to Saturn. I think because what Saturn does essentially is, again, it's the boundary, I guess, of the luminaries when it comes to the travel path. But the movement of the luminaries is what creates time, and they're traveling through space. So when people talk about space, time, curvature, and all this bullshit like this, like I'm literally like, you mean it means nothing. What you're saying means nothing. Like Einstein, I don't know what you were talking about with super relativity, or was it Newton? I forget. I think it was Einstein. But anyway, and even Copernicus like stole the work from Ibn al-Satir, and completely misinterpreted the model, and then flipped the sun with the moon. Sorry, it flipped the sun with the Earth, but still kept all the other calculations when it came to Mercury and stuff like that as well. So again, so Jupiter, if I spell it right. Okay, so the 12-to-1 ratio. So it takes 12 years for Jupiter to circle around a 360-degree circle around the sun as it's traveling on its path. So clean division of the circle, right? So which also connects to the 12 zodiac signs, right? And so you've got 12 years, or like approximately 12 years that it takes to do that circular circuit path, 11.86 years. There's the 12-to-1 resonance with the sun, which when you map it out, it creates the mandala, or the 12 petal patterns that you see. And so again, connected to, again, the zodiac. It's the second largest ring path, independent of the moon, right? We're talking about the 5 wandering stars. We're talking about it's the second furthest from the sun. So you've got Mercury, Venus, Mars, Jupiter, and Saturn operating their own independent ring paths at different speeds and distances as, again, like the sun travels. And what else can I say about it? 'Cause, yeah, 12-pointed mandala, solar circuits. I'm blasting through like 100 pages of notes here. Mars, I'll just go quickly with that. Okay, so yeah, it takes 687 sidereal days, or 686.96 days to do its travel path. Let me see here. So a little over 2 years. So the dissonant pulse, so the wave ratio, so Mars weaves a highly intricate, incredibly dense geometric ring of overlapping macro loops. It is a complex, heavy wave interference pattern, and a heavy driving rhythmic pulse. Musically, Mars introduces a slight dissonance or a beat frequency that forces the system forward. It is less of a melody and more like a steady, low frequency drum beat. And then when you that you can hear when you scale it up. And okay, so even for Jupiter though, like I want to get back to that because I see some notes that I want to. So for sound, a rich, majestic, multi-layered chord for Jupiter, because it divides the system into 12 perfect sectors. Jupiter is the architectural foundation of the 12-tone chromatic scale in music. There's also that connection. It sounds like the deep, resonant pipes of a grand organ organizing the chaos into structured musical scales. So when we see, even with cathedrals and these these beautiful buildings from the past, where you have like the organs like literally embedded into the designs, and these mandala shaped glass, like stained glass windows and things like that, this is all again like these are healing frequencies and colors that when you're sitting in these like in the pews, that you're actually again like it's healing. I hope that makes sense. And so, yeah, it's all connected. And let me see here with Mars. Again, I'm going. Oh, here we go. Okay, I already said that. Yeah, so low. Connected to the solar plexus as well with Mars, and the yeah, so deep red to infrared for colors, the lowest, longest wave of the visible spectrum. Okay. So I don't want to get, yeah, I think that's pretty much it. Like I could talk more about the frequencies and stuff like that, but I wanted to like share a video of the of what the notes are that they make. But Yeah.
Like the harmonic sequence.
Yes.
Kind
Yes.
of.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But
So
I think yeah.
yeah, in this about the resonance frequencies, like also there's something mentioned there about the efficient frictionless energy transfer in a resonant system, right? That's what is happening with these luminaries, right?
So I do think that so what we're calling the heavens, I do believe that like light and sound cannot travel unless it's through a medium. And so we have it in different pressure gradients, etc. But we have different areas within the cosmos that we have different types of mediums where like light and sound or electromagnetism can be expressed. And so where the luminaries are, like this is considered to be heaven, it's uncorruptible, etc. And so this to me would lead me to believe that this would possibly be where the ether is. And so like when we talk about like the atmosphere, like maybe ether is all the fluids, but I would say that like the most perfect, uncorruptible, best, like optimally filtered medium that the luminaries are traveling in is the ether. And then where we are experiencing our habitable region would be where we have our like the gases like that we can breathe in, like what we call air, like the nitrogen, oxygen, carbon dioxide, etc. And then you get into like the water fluids, etc. And then for different and then when you get into the solids, again, this is just like intense pressure concentration of these electromagnetic particles and their interaction within different mediums. And it depends on temperature and pressure. I didn't know what you were showing there. Was that the
That was
chakras?
just one of my diagrams that I had.
Yeah, that's cool.
That's just basically showing. Was just thinking for the viewers, because when you were talking about the time that it takes for the luminaries to travel, this is just one of the charts that I put together for all the luminaries to travel. And you were basically, when you were speaking, Don, it was just match perfect. It just popped in my head that it matches exactly what I've researched it to be. Yeah, Mercury takes 88 days. Venus takes 225 days. The sun is obviously a year, 365 days. Mars takes 720. Jupiter is 12 years. Saturn is 28 to 30. I think you said like 29 points.
Yeah, but it does. Yeah, you're right though. Like it depends like on what your research you're looking at. Like it could be upwards of 30. But yeah, 20.
Yeah. Yeah. But when you get up to the higher fields, the longer spans of time, it fluctuates, because there's such long spans of time that they're kind of like approximations, but exactly like a match of what you were saying, man. So I would love to, maybe connect offline and get with some of your research would be beautiful.
I will send it to everyone. I'm not even looking to make any money off this. This is why I was saying that like everything's in draft form, but literally solid and with redundancy though. So I would have loved to have published this, but like, it's just so much to go through that for me on my own doing this, it's like almost impossible. Like I would love to have someone that is also like understanding and on the same page that we can like see what's important, what to like add, what to take out. And
yes, I agree 100%.
Absolutely. So people, absolutely people, this is not pseudoscience. This is real, tangible and demonstrated.
You cut out for a second. I think you cut out for a second. I couldn't hear you.
Yeah, you got dropped a little bit.
All right, mic check. Am I back?
You're good. We got the part all the way to when you started with pseudoscience, not pseudoscience.
Exactly. So this is not pseudoscience, right? This is real, tangible science. Can be done through observations, right? And this is the thing. What we were discussing here, and what especially Don was sharing with us, it is said also, right? I will say it again: efficient, frictionless energy transfer in a resonance system. This is what is happening. Resonance frequencies and energy, frequency and vibration, right? That's our realm. This is awesome stuff, right? You want to mention, Don, about the axiom of Tesla, right? What he means when he explains this. right? What is this realm, right? A mechanical magneto-electric clockwork, right?
Yeah, I did. I've also compiled my work where I'm blending and making the connections with Walter Russell, Tesla, etc., and what they were talking about in regards to frequencies and vibrations and waves. It's literally again, like they're absolutely accurate for the most part. But even Tesla, like he did believe that the luminaries like influenced and interacted with like the earth. And so like for him, like he did not think that like the sun was like outside of this contained environment. And so you can make the connections that they make with electromagnetism and relate that to the luminaries, especially the sun and moon, on their travel path and how it influences the seasons and the temperature and the pressure throughout the year, depending on how close or how far the moon and sun is away, because they do influence again our environments. Obviously, like it's like how we experience heat and cold and the seasons, and like to make that connection where light and sound are expressions of electromagnetism, and even with this cosmos, this confined cosmos, there is some kind of a superconducting magnetic center that is emitting these magnetic field lines or flux lines, and that are interacting with the luminaries that are causing again these magnetic fields or radiation belts, they're calling it, that where we have field lines that are like establish the flat plane of inertia where we live, but then also define the containment. And this is all electromagnetism and interactions based on again matter and how they're operating within different mediums, and the different mediums that they're operating in there's different pressure gradients, there's different temperatures, also in relation. I hope I wasn't too redundant in that, but
Oh yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Right. As you mentioned, Nikola Tesla, most of his inventions are based on this, how this realm works, right? Even the ball lightning experiment, the tower and the spreading of the energy, right? He was the real person who invented the radio. He was the guy who did the radar. He was the guy who did the remote control. He was the guy who invented the x-rays, but the credits were not given to him, right? Because he really understood what this realm is. And as we speak about electromagnetism, he's explaining us magneto-electric, right, clockwork. He's literally telling you in the scientific way what is this realm is. Absolutely, this is awesome stuff, Don. It's great to have you for sure. We are almost more than almost 2.5. We were supposed to be here at 2 hours, but
Bro,
we'd
we
love
could
to
keep
go
going.
4 hours more, but we
I
will
have to
keep
let my
it for
dogs
next
out.
time.
It's like 4 something for Vika, I think.
Yeah. Thank
Oh,
you
yeah,
so much for
4:30.
having me on, Vika. I really appreciate it, and it's long overdue.
It's a great show. Good.
Oh
Man,
yeah, it was awesome to have you and all your research. Absolutely.
It went fast.
Yeah.
Not just
Yeah,
because
that
we're
went
talking
so
fast.
fast. Oh my goodness. Like
Yeah, it went really fast.
so much that we could even get into
Oh,
right
yeah.
now.
Yeah.
For sure.
Oh yeah, we didn't even scratch the surface, but absolutely, we're gonna do a part 2 of this for sure.
Amazing.
Hey, you know what? And I like her voice way better than Max. Sorry, Max.
Oh yeah.
That's funny.
Oh man.
So she didn't even scratch the surface. Absolutely, she has so much stuff. Right, we exchange few things too. Absolutely, get in contact psychedelic also with her. And yeah, if you want to exchange notes, that's great. It's always good. We try to all connect the dots together, and it's very few places that you're gonna freaking find these kind of conversations.
For sure.
Right.
I mean, like, who the
So-
heck does she talk to?
Like no
Yeah.
Her
one.
dogs?
Yeah.
Her dogs and Vika.
And now,
So-
and now
Absolutely, and for sure, this can continue too. For sure, we're gonna do more parts so we can get more better picture of this, and to have also the same panel and doing this again for sure. Absolutely.
Sounds good.
So
she's
yeah,
a great guest, Vika. Good job, man.
oh yeah, Dawn is awesome. Yeah, as I said, she's just not even scratching the surface. So we all have to, things to share and learn, and like and this is the thing. It's not that the earth is flat and it's over, right? There's the mystery, the mystery it is, this realm the creator has given it, that even if we spend our whole life, it's never going to be enough to understand everything, right? So we ourselves, for sure, we all are trying to wrap our brains around it, that what this place could be. And yeah, it's awesome to see, like, people like Don, like Psychedelic, like Paulino, and many other who are trying to do that, right? And together, so that we don't look insane, right? Because you cannot just, we wish we could put everything out there, what we have inside, for the people to know too, right? That we want to share, that what we understand, what it is. So absolutely, it could be never ending. But guys, we'll have our last thoughts, and we'll try to wrap it up for tonight. Awesome. Whoever wants to, yep. Psychedelic, if you want to have a
Yeah,
last
I'll go
thought.
first. Vika, it was a pleasure. Always a pleasure to have these conversations, man. You are a legend as always. Don, it was a very great to meet you. I'm going to reach out to you. Vika sent me your TikTok, so I'm going to reach out to you on there so we can connect further, and we'll exchange our social medias and talk about this further offline. Paulino, it was a pleasure to meet you. Finally, we haven't had the chance to officially meet. We finally got to do it. I'll reach out to you on TikTok as well so we can connect further.
Nice.
And yeah, this, like, Don literally just literally described the toroidal model field like perfectly right at the end there. And this is just the beginning. We're just scratching the surface.
Yes.
All the little
Oh yeah,
details.
for sure.
So it was just very amazing to just kind of get this first one in the books. And we're just getting started. I think a lot can blossom from this. And I think that if we continue to share with this same energy, that it will attract the correct people, because we just said, we don't really have the right people to talk to, like, in our personal lives, but as the more that we do this, I think we'll attract the appropriate people. So I do really appreciate this opportunity and to work on the upcoming project that Vika has for us all. And yeah, I'll close with that. Thank you again, guys, and thank you for everybody who's watching in the chat.
Hey Don,
Thank you so much.
are you reading the chat?
No, I'm not on that screen at all.
Oh, that's funny.
I don't know what anyone has said.
JJ is one of our sponsors, but he's up here. He just said Don is the most beautiful and intelligent Canadian he's ever seen.
Wow.
I can't.
Wow, that's a nice compliment, right?
I know.
Absolutely.
I agree.
I don't know that many.
Oh yeah, we all agree, for sure.
Yeah, she's got it down, man. She's a pleasure to listen to. Yeah, I like it.
So we will leave the last thoughts for Don for the last. Paulino, last thoughts for you, brother.
Oh yeah. Hey, it's always a pleasure here. Anybody who wants to reach out to us, you can go to the flatouttruth.com. It has all of our social media links, all of our link trees, shows the private platform, merch, everything we got. When we're going to be coming on now again, and our next guest, Vikka, comes on next week, right? Vikka, Wednesday, and then we have another show on Thursday. So we have another guest on Thursday. So we will be on Wednesday and Thursday next week, and maybe we can get one of these other guys on if they reach out to us, get them scheduled up for a show on a Thursday. So that's basically it.
Nice. Awesome. So people do check out Paulino and Chelsea on TikTok and the flatouttruth.com. We're going to be on next Wednesday. I'm going to be there. Ask Vikka anything. We go really deep, really, really deep. So that's also nice. And if you guys are there on TikTok, do check out next Wednesday. And the flatouttruth.com. Paulino, awesome session tonight. Great. Thanks for being here. And Psychedelic, you too. Don, all yours.
Okay.
Last thoughts.
I do appreciate, and I think it's a long time coming, but like having the opportunity to explain this stuff. And I do want to get more onto like these podcasts with you to explain it, because I have a lot of content that I can discuss. And the more I explain it, the easier it will come. And people can find me on Rumble, Don189, or on YouTube. But I think having these conversations, are like it helps out a lot. It's not just me talking to a screen and just sharing all the science work. That can be boring, and so you could find me on there. And again, I do plan on absolutely having more podcasts with you guys, because I think it's important, and I think it is the missing piece in the truther community. We talk a lot about flat Earth, and like we see too far, and all of that other stuff, but like when it comes to the luminaries, I think that it's so complex, but like it does take people to kind of, like we're doing, just like try to, put it all together. And so, yeah, I appreciate the opportunity, and hopefully I didn't talk too fast or rumble. I mean, ramble. Yeah, ramble. Sorry, it's been a long, like my brain is already fried. And, but yeah, I would love to do more of these. And so I appreciate the opportunity.
Hey, you did great. Fabulous.
Oh yeah, you did awesome, and I think it was we ran out of time. If no, we could be here a couple of hours more, right? If it was our normal timing, right? When we off summer timetable, we could have gone for an hour or two more, but yeah. So absolutely, people, there you have it. Dawn Dussault. You can find her on Facebook. She's on Instagram, here on YouTube. If you like her stuff, go share, speak, and for sure is there part of our community, and she has awesome insight, because when you can explain, you understand, right? So there are many people who understand but have hard time explaining what the hell is happening. So there you have it, people. It was a really great to have you, Don. Absolutely, we have open panel every Sunday. Whenever you want to jump in, you are welcome. We'll love to have you as also a panel here to add into our conversations, right? So absolutely, that was great. And there you have it, people. Next week, let's see if you guys is gonna be at the same time. And thank you, Psychedelic, thank you, Paulino, and thank you, Don, for being here tonight, and also each and every one of you in the chat tonight, spending your time with us in this awesome conversation. I have to tell you, this was deep, this was nice, and this is required more. So this is Vikka signing out, guys. See you next week. Bye,
Signing
everyone.
off, y'all. Have a good night.
Good night, everyone.
Bye.
Bow to the lab coat, kneel to the screen. If the light feels warm, does the truth seem mean? Welcome to the cult of comfort and pride, where questions get you canceled and sheep get a guide. Science is sacred as long as it's sold, wrapped in a logo and funded in gold. They wear their masks like medals, their degrees like chains. Never looked at the stars, but they chant the same names. NASA said it, I believe it, that's that. Even when the rocket clips fade to black, you show them maps older than Christ, and they'll laugh in your face. Say Google it twice. Truth don't matter when ego's involved. This ain't curiosity, this is a cult. It's the comfort cult. No facts, just faith. Don't think, don't dig, don't dare escape. It's the comfort cult. Built on control, where truth is heresy and doubt is a troll. Obey, believe, repeat the defaults. Welcome to the comfort cult. Welcome to the comfort cult. Yeah. Look, they'll fight to defend what they never prove. Quarter textbook like scripture, you never move. They let us say settle when it's barely begun. Then mock you for asking why water don't run. Flat earth, you're insane, hollow earth too much. But a spinning ball with ocean stuck, that's clutch. They kneel to the God, science, progress, tech, worshipping data they never did check. It's not about truth, it's about tribe. They just wanna belong, they just wanna subscribe. So go ahead, laugh, deflect, and insult. But deep down, you know you're in a cult. to shape the rules or the game. It's a comfort call. Blindfold sold out, but one day back with a shout when truth floods in and the towers tilt. Will you leave or defend the cult?